Chapter 209. Junichen's body didn't move, but his abdomen kept vibrating, making strange noises. The life-bound Gu's winged face revealed a ferocious expression, as if it was in great pain. It absorbed the blood faster and faster, and the black gas on Master Dongfang's body decreased. But in that place in his heart, there was always a soybean-sized piece of black gas stuck there. Junichen's face became paler and paler, his face covered in sweat. It was obvious that using the life-bound Gu was a huge burden on him. Yi Jioge opened her spirit eye and looked at Master Dongfang's chest, only to see the black gas stuck to the top of his heart meridian. She took out her thunderfire needle and stabbed it, releasing a small purple electric current. The ball of black qi bounced off. The life-bound Gu took the opportunity to suck harder, sucking out a drop of dark red blood from Master Dongfang's neck. The drop of blood was very strange. It was in the shape of a heart. After it was sucked out, it wriggled and tried to escape, but was swallowed by the life-bound Gu. Hee, bloodthirsty old man, you didn't think I would be waiting for you here. The life-bound Gu chuckled and flew back into Junichen's abdomen. What's up with that drop of blood? Yi Jioge finally figured it out. Junichen helping Master Dongfang detoxify was fake, he just wanted to suck that drop of blood. That's bloodthirsty old man's life-bound blood essence. It's very important for him to cultivate the bloodthirsty great art. The life-bound Gu replied proudly in Junichen's stomach. The reason why bloodthirsty old man was willing to take out this drop of blood essence to make poison was because he had to get Master Dongfang. Unfortunately, no matter how much he calculated, he never expected that Junichen would appear here. He also never expected that Junichen's vital insect would recover its cultivation through Yi Jioge's spirit beast pill and snatch away his drop of blood. Then is Master Dongfang successfully detoxified? Yi Jioge didn't care about bloodthirsty old man's blood essence, she only cared about Master Dongfang's illness. This old man is lucky to have met me, but bloodthirsty old man is very cunning. Even though he's detoxified, his body has suffered great damage. To be completely cured, he needs to use the blood lotus from bloodthirsty sect. Otherwise, he can forget about cultivating in the future. Junichen said. Blood lotus? What is that? Yi Jioge asked with a frown. It's a kind of treasure that bloodthirsty ancestor raises in the blood pond. It's rootless and feeds on blood, but it can bloom into the most beautiful lotus flower. It has the effect of purifying blood. Bloodthirsty ancestor cultivates by sucking human blood, so he has a lot of impurities in his body. He relies on this blood lotus to repair them. Junichen's eyes were filled with greed when he talked about the blood lotus. It was a good thing. Let's talk about the blood lotus after Master Dongfang wakes up. It was good enough that Yi Jioge had saved his life. Helping him with his cultivation was no longer an option. He'll wake up in an incense stick's time. I'm going to cultivate now. Junichen had swallowed ancestor bloodthirsty's blood essence, so he had to refine it as soon as possible. Otherwise it would be troublesome. Go, I'll stay here and watch him, Yi Jioge said as he waved his hand. After Junichen left, Zishang, who had been standing with his eyes closed and pretending to be asleep, suddenly opened his eyes. He stared at Yi Jioge's fingers that were massaging the pink caterpillar and said, How long are you going to massage it? Don't tell me you're jealous of a bug. Yi Jioge looked at Zishang in surprise. This was a female bug. That's right, I'm jealous. Don't forget that your entire body belongs to me. Zishang smiled very gently, and his voice was very pleasant to listen to. Don't you have anything to report when I'm in seclusion? Yi Jioge finally understood that there was a hidden meaning in Zishang's words. She carefully thought about all the things she had done during this period of time, and immediately remembered the drop of blood that had been swallowed by the fat black rat. My king, I was wrong. I didn't think things would turn out like this. After Yi Jioge honestly explained what had happened, he took out the fat black rat from the bag and placed it in front of Zishang. After it ate my drop of blood, it has been unconscious. Take a look and see what's going on. At least you know what's good for you. Zishang glanced at Yi Jioge and took the fat black rat. The fat black rat landed on Zishang's hand. Its eyes were still closed, but it could clearly feel the approaching danger. Its fat body shrunk even tighter and it even seemed to be shivering. Zishang's palm did not move. A black light was emitted from his palm and enveloped the fat black rat. The fat black rat's black fur underwent a huge change. Its black fur turned into a light silver color, shining with a beautiful radiance. The surface was covered with golden veins, like ripples on the surface of water. The most mystical thing was that there was a small golden flower bud on its head. The day I picked it up it looked like this. Yi Jioge hurriedly said. Zishang did not reply, but the black light in his hand became even hotter. The fat black rat's face revealed a painful expression. The flower bud on its head slowly bloomed, and the stamen of the flower flowed out a golden radiance that covered its entire body. The fat black rat actually turned into a baby with a flower on its head in the golden radiance. It was chubby, tender, and had delicate facial features. It was extremely cute. Yi Jioga forcefully blinked her eyes, thinking that she was seeing things. Very quickly the black light in Zishang's palm disappeared, and the baby also disappeared, turning back into a fat black rat. What's going on? Yi Jioga was a little surprised and hurriedly asked, was that baby a rat that turned into a spirit, or a child wearing a rat's skin? Neither. Zishang shook his head. Was it an illusion? Yi Jioga asked again. Also not. Zishang still shook his head. Then what was it? Yi Jioga was anxious. How could there be a fat rat turning into a cute baby in this world? If she did not clarify this matter, how would she be able to order the fat black rat to spit saliva for her in the future? We'll know when it wakes up. Zishang continued to shake his head. No matter how Yi Jioga asked, he would not say. If you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Anyway, this fat black rat is mine. Yi Jioga snatched the fat black rat from Zishang's hand and stuffed it back into the bag along with the pink caterpillar. At this time, the crown prince's excited shout came from outside the door. What are you guys blocking here for? Quickly let Ben Gong in. If anything happens to Imperial Uncle, can you afford to pay for it? Eldest Miss is inside helping Master Dongfang detoxify the poison. Unrelated people are not allowed to enter, Bai Songling replied coldly. Do you think this empress is an outsider? Are Elder Qin and Elder Xiao irrelevant people? The crown prince's voice was as sharp as a hen that had been strangled. He shouted hysterically at the door, Yi Jioga, come out. How dare you call Eldest Miss by her name? Bai Songling was also angry. Seeing that the situation was about to get out of control, Yi Jioga was still calm. She reached out to feel Master Dongfang's pulse. Seeing that his pulse was stable and there were signs of him waking up at any time, she raised her voice and ordered Bai Songling, let them in. Chapter 210. Yes. Bai Songling glared at the crown prince before calling Luo Tian to the side. The crown prince snorted disdainfully and rushed in first. Elder Qin and Elder Xiao hurriedly followed him into the house. Yi Jioga sat on the chair with a smile. She was dressed in a sky blue dress that made her look like a cloud blooming in the clear sky, ethereal and beautiful. Zishang stood quietly behind her. His eyelids were slightly drooping as if he was asleep. As soon as the crown prince entered, he angrily pointed at Yi Jioga's nose and shouted preemptively, Yi Jioga, how dare you block us outside? Do you want to do something to uncle? Yi Jioga didn't say anything. Even the smile on his face didn't change. Zishang raised his eyes slightly and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He raised his hand and shot a purple light at the crown prince. The crown prince screamed and was sent flying. He hung upside down on a tree. Speak human language when you come in. Don't scare Master Dongfang. Yi Jioga's voice was gentle and dignified as if she didn't know that her guards had pulled the crown prince out. Young mistress is right. Elder Qin and Elder Xiao didn't dare to offend Yi Jioga. They nodded and didn't dare to look at the crown prince. Young mistress, is the poison in Master Dongfang's body cured? Elder Qin asked respectfully. Fortunately, I didn't fail you. As soon as Yi Jioga's voice fell, Dongfang Yao's fingers moved slightly. His eyelids twitched and he finally opened his eyes. City Lord, you're finally awake. Elder Xiao hurried over to help him up. He was so excited that tears were about to flow. Dongfang Yao raised his hand to stop the agitated Elder Xiao. He slowly sat up on the bed and lifted the quilt to get out of bed. City Lord, you've just recovered. You should rest for a while. Elder Qin said anxiously. I'm fine now. Where are Dongfang Jiaming and Zhang Peng? Dongfang Yao's complexion was somewhat pale, but the sharp glint in his eyes was like a cold wind blowing past an iceberg, causing one's heart to shiver. The crown prince is outside. Zhang Peng seems to be busy with the alchemy pavilion. I haven't seen him for a long time. Elder Qin replied carefully. Get someone to catch Zhang Peng immediately. Dongfang Yao ordered. Yes. Elder Qin ordered without hesitation. Then Dongfang Yao coldly ordered, 2 more men, bring that bastard Dongfang Jiaming in. Capture? Elder Qin was shocked and exchanged a glance with Elder Xiao. Dongfang Jiaming was the crown prince. It didn't matter if he scolded him, but if he was caught, it would be a big deal. Therefore, neither of them dared to make a move. I've been sick for a while, so my words don't matter anymore, right? Dong Fangyao's voice wasn't loud, but his aura was very strong. This subordinate wouldn't dare. Old Qin shivered and immediately turned around to instruct the guards of the concoction pavilion. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and take down the crown prince. Yes. The guard of the concocting medicine pavilion did not dare to ask any more questions. He immediately grabbed the crown prince, who was hanging on the tree, and brought him inside. Imperial uncle, what are you doing? The crown prince was greatly shocked and roared at Yi Jioge. Did you use an evil technique on Imperial uncle to have him deal with me? Shut up. Dong Fangyao abruptly picked up the teacup on the table and viciously threw it at the crown prince. There was a bang. The teacup splashed on the crown prince's face, leaving a bruise full of blood. Dongfang Jiaming, you're a heartless beast. You dare to collude with evil cultivators to murder Miss Yi. You didn't even spare this old man. You deserve to die 10,000 times over. Dongfang Yao gnashed his teeth and cursed. Imperial uncle, I didn't. The crown prince shook his head like a windmill. You still dare to quibble at this point? These past few days, Su Junqing and Xiong Yunhu have been talking about your good deeds at my bedside. Dongfang Yao's words scared the crown prince and made him pale. The crown prince's body softened as he knelt on the ground, wailing and begging. Imperial uncle, I'm wronged. Su Junqing falsely accused me. You don't have to say any more. Our Dongfang family doesn't have a cruel and unscrupulous beast like you. Come, take Dongfang Jiaming to the prison and send him back to the capital. After Dongfang Yao said this, he seemed to have aged 10 years. Although he didn't like this nephew, he was still heartbroken to be murdered by him and his disciples. Imperial uncle, I was forced. It was Su Junqing who cast an evil spell on me. I'm innocent. Dongfang Jiaming screamed and struggled desperately. The guards didn't dare to approach him. What are you waiting for? Do you want me to do it myself? Dongfang Yao angrily said. The guards didn't dare to hesitate and quickly dragged Dongfang Jiaming away. And that Su Junqing, where did he go? Dongfang Yao asked again. Su Junqing went to Red Clay Valley to dig up Lu Yunfei's corpse. Yi Jioge replied. Immediately send someone to find him. We absolutely can't let him escape. Dongfang Yao hated Su Junqing the most now. I'll go. Bai Songling took the initiative to stand out. I'll go too. Yi said. The blood feud between him and Su Junqing was absolutely irreconcilable. If he didn't catch Su Junqing himself, his heart wouldn't be reconciled. Yi Jioge said, You take some people to Red Clay Valley. Big brother Bai, immediately send a message back and tell them to keep an eye on the Su clan. There was such a big commotion in the city last night, I'm worried that Su Junqing might have escaped. Okay, I'll do it right away. Yi Yu and Bai Songling replied in unison. Bai Songling decided to return to the capital overnight to personally keep an eye on the Su clan. Young lady Yi is truly thoughtful. Dongfang Yao sighed. After this incident, he finally realized that Alchemy City didn't have enough time to deal with such sudden incidents. This gave the heretical cultivators an opportunity. Yi Jioge quickly advised, Grandmaster Dongfang is overpraising me. Your body has just recovered, you should rest well. I'm not tired. If young lady has time, can you accompany this old man to see Zijuan? Dongfang Yao was very polite towards Yi Jioge. He even changed the way he addressed her from little girl to young lady. I also want to see Senior Li. Yi Jioge and Grandmaster Dongfang went to see Li Zijuan. Although Li Zijuan was also poisoned, it was nothing compared to the royal poison in Grandmaster Dongfang's body. The reason why he didn't wake up for so long was because everyone was busy saving Grandmaster Dongfang. No one paid attention to him. Grandmaster Dongfang personally concocted an antidote for Li Zijuan and poured it down his throat. He quickly woke up. Li Zijuan struggled to get up and said, Master, it was Zhang Peng who poisoned us. I know it was him. Dongfang Yao pressed Li Zijuan down and said, Elder Chen's group has already sent people to capture him. He won't be able to escape for long. Master, this disciple really doesn't understand. You treated Zhang Peng so well and even let him manage the alchemy pavilion. Why would he poison us? Li Zijuan had a sad expression. Being stabbed by one's own people was the most painful thing. What else could it be? In the end, it's all about benefits. Dongfang Yao sighed and said to Li Zijuan, We need to learn from this lesson. Yes. Li Zijuan nodded and began to reflect on his mistake. Yi Jioge was bored to the side and wanted to find an excuse to leave. At this time, Luo Tian came in and reported to Yi Jioge, Young lady, fourth lady is outside and wishes to see you. Chapter 211. Fourth sister, why are you here? Yi Jioge was a bit confused. He got up and said to Master Dongfang, "My sister might be looking for me. I'll go out and take a look." "Eldest miss, please go ahead." Dongfang Yao said politely. "I'll probably be staying in the alchemy pavilion for a while. If Master needs anything, feel free to come find me." Yi Jioge got up and said goodbye before going to see Yurui. Yurui stood ramrod straight in the garden outside. Her small body wrapped in a black dress made her look even more petite. The spring scenery in the garden could not alleviate the hostility on her small face. Seeing Yi Jioge come out, her eyes curved and she revealed a cute smile. She shouted, "Big sister. Why are you here? I was going to see you later." Yi Jioge held Yurui's hand and looked at her carefully. He said with some heartache, "You've lost weight. It's been hard on you." "It's not hard on me, it's big sister." Yurui obediently shook her head and said, "Big sister, I'm here to say goodbye. I'll be going back to Shangjing with father later." "You don't need to go back to Shangjing with them. Once I'm done here you can come back with me. You don't need to return to the Yi mansion anymore." Yi Jioge came out to set up his own house and planned to take Yurui with him. Unexpectedly, Yurui shook her head and said apologetically, "Sorry big sister, I want to go with father." "Fourth sister, there's something you might not know." Yi Jioge paused, sighed and said, "Your mother passed away a few days ago." "I know. Mother was killed by Madam." Yurui said calmly. "Then you still want to go back with them?" Yi Jioge suddenly found that he couldn't understand this little sister. The death of a mother should be the most painful thing in the world, but she was strangely calm. "Because of this, I want to go back with them." Su Junqing ran away, the crown prince was captured, and Su Yufeng and Yi Shanshan lost their support. At this time I have to stay by father's side. Only then can I get revenge for my mother. Yi Rui's calm voice hid a strange and gloomy undercurrent. It was inexplicably frightening. "You're still young, you don't need to worry about revenge. Leave it to me." Yi Jioge didn't want Yurui to stain her hands with blood at such a young age. "Big sister, you've already helped me a lot. I have to get revenge for my mother myself." Yi Rui revealed a faint smile. He bowed to Yi Jioge and left without looking back. His short and thin body exuded an indescribable determination. Yi Jioge sighed. When he returned to his room he was still worried about Yurui. Yi Jioge sighed. When he returned to his room he was still a bit worried. "Don't talk nonsense. She's still young." Yi Jioge frowned. It was already hard enough for her to have a bewitching man as her creditor. She didn't want to have another demoness as her younger sister. "That's not up to you." Zishang shrugged. He would never tell Yi Jioge that Yurui had already become a little obsessed. "Humph, with me around, even if she enters the demonic sea, I will pull her out." Yi Jioge rolled his eyes at Zishang. She didn't believe that Yurui would become a demonic cultivator at such a young age. She didn't expect that Yi Jioge would suddenly move to Yi Jioge's side. He pretended to be wronged and said, "Little heartless. You only want to help your sister. Why don't you help me?" "Help you what?" Yi Jioge was confused. "Right now, I'm floating in the sea of desire. I'm just waiting for you to help me." Zishang said matter-of-factly. He didn't forget to give Yi Jioge a flirtatious look. Driving at the slightest disagreement. "Do you really think your sister is easy to bully?" Without hesitation, Yi Jioge elbowed him back and said, "Scram! Tsk, you little violet." Zishang quickly dodged Yi Jioge's attack. "If there's a next time it won't be like this." Yi Jioge narrowed his eyes and said threateningly. If Zishang was standing in front of her, she would definitely kick him in the groin. "The next time will be a month later." Zishang scanned Yi Jioge's slightly flat figure and said suggestively, "Then you have to work hard. Don't disappoint me." "Don't eat it if you're disappointed." Yi Jioge suddenly felt that flat-chested was pretty good. If Zishang was hoping that her red bean pie would turn into a cream cake in a month's time, then she should just wash up and sleep. This won't do. Zishang seemed to have thought of something. He suddenly reached out and grabbed Yi Jioge's red bean pie and said seriously, "You have to rub it more from now on." Yi Jioge expressionlessly lowered his head and looked at Zishang's big hand. Then, without hesitation, he reached his hand down and said coldly and heartlessly, "If you have the ability, then let's rub it together." She was throwing caution to the wind. Zishang once again dodged Yi Jioge's unexpected attack. Then he looked at Yi Jioge with an expression that said, "I'm serious. Otherwise, do you think that with your small body you can withstand me?" Yi Jioge frowned. He suddenly thought of a terrifying thing and blurted out, "Don't tell me that you have two big sticks in your human form." Before Zishang could reply, Yi Jioge thought of an even more terrifying thing. Could it be that you want to use your original form? F asterisk CK. You beast. Yi Jioge rejected beast thousands of times. What are you thinking? Zishang felt that he couldn't keep up with Yi Jioge's unrestrained thoughts. No. Seeing that Zishang didn't have that thought, Yi Jioge heaved a sigh of relief. I didn't expect little Jioge to have such a heavy taste. Zishang squinted his eyes. His eyes flashed with a dangerous light as he said slowly, original form, right? I will let you be satisfied one day. However, the previous half-human half-snake was not his complete form. If little Jioge saw his true form he would probably be shocked. No need, I'm already satisfied. Yi Jioge shook his head decisively. As she said that, she felt that something was wrong. Why did she feel like she was thirsting for Zishang's human form? Alright, little Jioge, you don't have to say what you mean. I understand. Zishang winked at Yi Jioge with his peach blossom eyes. Yi Jioge continued to be expressionless. Just as she was thinking about how to suppress this arrogant guy, Zishang put away his playful look and said seriously, I want your Vitaline not to use you as a cultivation furnace. Although the meridians in your body have been cleared, the 9 poison bone shattering is still in your dantian. If you can't open up a dual cultivation channel in advance, your dantian will explode. Hearing this, Yi Jioge understood. Zishang didn't sleep with her for free. He gave her benefits. Not only could this benefit greatly increase her cultivation, it could also strengthen her dantian and prevent the 9 poison bone shattering from spreading. Although the 9 poison bone shattering did not explode, Yi Jioge understood that it was a time bomb. Once her cultivation increased, it would explode. Tell me what to do. I will listen to you. Yi Jioge nodded seriously. This matter couldn't be underestimated. Now strip and lie on the bed. Zishang said in a more serious tone. Chapter 212. I'll take it off. Yi Jioge was ready to risk everything this time. She grabbed the belt with both hands and started to take it off boldly. She was so open that Zishang felt a little scared. Could it be that he had gone too far and had driven this lass crazy instead? Thinking of this, Zishang couldn't help coughing and said seriously, since this is your first experience, it's fine if you don't take it off. Lie down. Yi Jioge didn't say much about Zishang's unfaithful attitude. She quickly lay down. Close your eyes and feel it. Zishang covered Yi Jioge's eyes with his slightly cold hands. In the darkness, Yi Jioge could only smell a faint fragrance coming from Zishang's body. Unlike the gentleness of a woman, this fragrance was even more invasive. It made one feel a little thirsty as if they were bathing in fire. Yi Jioge resisted the urge to lick her lips and quickly corrected her attitude. Even if she wanted to be horny, it couldn't be now. This might be Zishang's conspiracy. She had to resist the temptation. Yi Jioge calmed down and closed her eyes to feel Zishang's next action. The pair of big hands first put 3 inches below her navel and gently rubbed it. The strength was moderate and very comfortable. Then slowly he pressed those acupuncture points regularly. It was sore and swollen, but after the sourness passed, it was comfortable. When Yi Jioge was so comfortable that she almost fell asleep, Zishang's hands gradually came to the acupuncture point on her chest. Suddenly, a sharp pain rushed to her head. Yi Jioge's body bounced up like a fish on the shore, but Zishang pressed her down hard. Bear it. Zishang's voice was not flirting at all, but unprecedentedly serious. It was the first time that Yi Jioge saw such an attitude from Zishang. She gritted her teeth and endured it. Zishang's hands were glowing with a faint black and purple light. He pinched Yi Jioge's chest as if he was kneading dough. Yi Jioge's face was a little twisted. She only felt that those acupuncture points were sore and swollen as if they were bitten by ants. It was so uncomfortable that her toes couldn't help curling up. Although the whole process didn't last long, Yi Jioge broke out in a cold sweat, and her back was wet. Her messy black hair was wet with sweat and stuck to her pale forehead. She looked very embarrassed and weak. Are you all right? Zishang didn't expect Yi Jioge to have such a big reaction. How long do I have to press this? Yi Jioge lay on the bed like a dead fish. Although the process was very painful, she had to admit that after Zishang rubbed her chest like this, her breathing became much smoother. Your qi and blood are very stagnant. You have to clear them once a day. However, the first time will be more painful, but it will be fine in the future. Zishang didn't tease Yi Jioge this time. Instead, he gently wiped her sweat with a soft towel. And? Yi Jioge nodded. As long as it was useful, she would endure it no matter how painful it was. Do you want to rest? Zishang asked. No need. Although she was very tired, now was not the time to rest. Alchemy City still had many things to do. Yi Jioga took out the storage bag that he got from Lu Yunfei and took out a piece of human skin. It was Gong Hongyu's skin. Zishang immediately understood Yi Jioga's intentions. Are you going to give it to Gong Honglei? That's right. I have to give him a chance to take revenge. Yi Jioga smiled meaningfully. She took the skin and went to find Gong Honglei. Gong Honglei had been healing in the alchemy pavilion. When he saw Yi Jioga, he couldn't help but feel embarrassed, guilty, and remorseful. He stiffly greeted her. Miss Yi, please sit. Young Master Gong, there is no need to be so polite. I came today to give you something. Yi Jioga said without beating around the bush. What is it? Gong Honglei frowned. He suddenly felt that something was strange. Yi Jioga placed the blue bag in front of Gong Honglei. Gong Honglei's face paled. He seemed to have sensed something. His fingers that were opening the bag trembled violently. He couldn't untie the small knot for a long time. As a swordsman, shaking hands was something that should never happen to him. Yi Jioga sighed, but he didn't help. He just sat to the side and quietly waited. In the end, Gong Honglei opened the bag. A white human skin lay quietly on the soft cloth. The head was facing him. There was a small black mole on the cheek. Gong Honglei felt as if he was struck by lightning. His heart ached and his eyes turned red. He couldn't help but cry. A man doesn't cry easily. It's only when he's deeply hurt. Gong Honglei's parents died early. Only he and his sister Gong Hongyu were left. At that time they were still young and weren't valued by their family. Their early years were very difficult. It wasn't until he revealed his sword cultivation talent at the age of 10 and entered the Limitless Sword Pavilion as an inner disciple that his sister's status rose. Maybe it was because she was bullied in her early years, but his sister's personality became more and more arrogant. Because he loved his sister, he always protected her. He always felt that although his sister was a little willful, she wasn't an evil person. He didn't expect her to die a horrible death. The dead are dead. Young Master Gong, please restrain your grief. Yi Jioga knew that this sentence was very weak. However, he couldn't find any other words to comfort him. Gong Honglei quickly adjusted his mood. After he carefully put away his sister's human skin, he solemnly cupped his hands and bowed deeply. Miss Yi, I was too reckless before. That's why I listened to the slanderous slander and misunderstood you. Please forgive me, Miss Yi. No problem. Seeing that Gong Honglei was willing to admit his mistake, Yi Jioga's impression of him slightly changed. Thank you. Gong Honglei stood up and suddenly said, I plan to take action tomorrow and go to the Su family in Shangjing. Yi Jioga frowned. It seemed that Gong Honglei had already heard the news of Su Junqing's escape. She pondered for a moment before shaking her head. Su Junqing is sinister and cunning. I don't think he will return to the Su family at this time. If young Master Gong wants revenge, I have a suggestion. Miss Yi, please speak. Gong Honglei solemnly said. His Highness the Crown Prince is also one of the masterminds. Wandarin was ordered to secretly bring him back to Shangjing. If young Master Gong directly goes to the Emperor to seek justice, I believe the Emperor won't dare to protect the Crown Prince. Yi Jioga said it lightly, but if the Crown Prince heard it, he would definitely go crazy. This was his last chance of survival. Alright, I'll go back to Shangjing with Wandarin. Gong Honglei had long suspected the Crown Prince, so he agreed without hesitation. Young Master Gong is wise. I'm sure Miss Gong's spirit in heaven will feel gratified. It's getting late, goodbye. Yi Jioga and Gong Honglei exchanged a few more pleasantries before leaving his courtyard. Then she handed the spiritual roots of blood, flesh and human skin in Lu Yunfei's Chengkuan bag to Li Zijuan. Just when Yi Jioga was busy, Dong Fengyao secretly wrote a letter to Emperor Xian. Chapter 213. Dong Fengyao explained the ins and outs of the matter in the letter, and then strongly requested Emperor Xian to punish the little bastard, Dong Fengjiaming. Finally, he mentioned that the Yunwei Sea had sent a great expert called Yi Zi to protect Yi Jioga. He also asked Emperor Xian Wu to rope in this great expert at all costs. Thunder Country's Shangjing, Pure Purity Palace. After reading Dong Fengyao's letter, Emperor Xian Wu sat motionlessly on his throne with a dark expression on his face. The chief eunuch, Li Fud, was waiting on the side. His heart was beating rapidly, and he didn't even dare to breathe heavily. Ever since Gong Honglei forced the Crown Prince back to the capital and demanded that they give the Gong family an explanation, the Emperor's face hadn't been clear for a single day. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside as if someone was arguing outside. Li Fud panicked and wished he could go out and beat the guards and eunuchs to death. Didn't he know what time it was now? He actually dared to make such a fuss. Let's go out and take a look, said Emperor Xian Wu with his eyes closed. Yes. Li Fud wiped his cold sweat and went out. When he came back, his face was even paler. He said in a low voice, "The Empress is outside asking to see you. Didn't I tell her to stay in the Fengyi Palace? Why is she here?" Emperor Xian glanced at Li Fud and asked, "It's this old servant's arrangements that were not good. Your Majesty, please punish me." Li Fud immediately knelt down in fear and trepidation. Actually, it could not be said that his arrangements were unfavorable. Although the crown prince had been placed under house arrest, Emperor Xian did not dare to announce that he had colluded with an evil cultivator. Instead, he had been looking for a suitable accusation. He did not strip the Empress of her title, only placing her under house arrest in Fengyi Palace, having a few palace maids and eunuchs watch over her. Normally, these palace maids and eunuchs would be enough. Nevertheless, the Empress was a spiritualist after all. She had been nourished by various spiritual pills all these years, so her cultivation base was still there. After the incident with the crown prince, she had been asking to see the emperor. Seeing that no one was paying attention to her, she actually dashed out of the Fengyi Palace like a madman. Only when the palace maids and eunuchs chased after her did she let out an uproar. Take her back and feed her some spirit-dispersing pills. As for those trash from the Phoenix Ritual Palace, do as you see fit. Emperor Xianwu closed his eyes again as if he did not know that the spirit-dispersing pill was fatal to a spiritualist. Yes. When Li Fud heard this, he knew that the emperor really had no feelings for the empress. He quickly went out to give the order and the noise soon stopped. The once glorious empress was dragged back to the Fengyi Palace and forced to drink a spirit-dispersing pill. In the future, it would be difficult for her to even walk, much less come out to cause trouble. Li Fud quickly returned. He bowed beside Emperor Xianwu, not even daring to breathe loudly. The entire Palace of Purity was as quiet as a graveyard. Emperor Xianwu closed his eyes and casually asked, "How's the situation with the Su family?" Li Fud's cold sweat broke out even more. He braced himself and said, "Elder Su is still in a coma. Su Junqing didn't come back." Emperor Xianwu's expression did not change. He opened his eyes and his sharp gaze fell on the letter that Dongfang Yao had sent. After a moment of silence, he suddenly asked, "What's going on with this Yi Jioga?" "I don't know either, but I heard that the imperial consort and Prince Dongling are friends with Miss Yi," Li Fud replied carefully. Although he didn't get to see Dongfang Yao's letter, everyone knew about the recent events in Alchemy City. Yi Jioga went from an unforgivable evil cultivator leader to a hero who fought against evil cultivators and saved Alchemy City. This reversal caused an uproar in the entire Thunder Country. Especially when Yi Yuxuan made a statement to support the daughter he chased out of the family and begged for her to change her mind, it made people believe that this was a misunderstanding. In a short period of time, Yi Jioga's reputation reached its peak. Imperial consort Shi and Dongfang Ke being friends with her was definitely a great thing for the Dongfang family, whose reputation was in jeopardy. Ke is still far-sighted. Emperor Xianwu sighed. He had already made a decision. Li Fud saw the emperor's expression and knew that the sky in the capital was about to change. At this time, Yi Jioga had finished her business in Alchemy City and planned to return to the capital. She didn't expect Dongfang Yao to suddenly announce that she was the champion of the competition and give her the 10,000 gold cauldron. "The competition isn't over yet. I don't deserve this award." Yi Jioga shook her head. No matter how greedy she was, she wouldn't accept such a thing. This was decided by the participating alchemists. If it wasn't for the interruption of the competition, you would have been the champion. Dongfang Yao was speaking the truth. Among the participants, no one's alchemy skills were better than Yi Jioga's. Yi Jioga refused in every way possible, but Dongfang Yao insisted on his own opinion. He even said that the cauldron was already Yi Jioga's and that if she didn't want it, he would just throw it away. Yi Jioga had no choice but to accept. She converted the cauldron into silver and divided it equally among the family members of the alchemists who were killed by the evil cultivator. Dongfang Yao praised her. He also converted the other prizes prepared for the competition into silver and distributed them to the people who were accidentally injured by the evil cultivator. These were originally Yi Jioga's unintentional actions, but she didn't expect them to bring her righteous reputation. Even the damaged image of Alchemy City was restored. Just as Yi Jioga was preparing to return to the capital, Bai Songling sent a letter. Why did Elder Su suddenly disappear? Yi Jioga looked at Zi Shang in confusion after reading the letter. Could it be that there was a problem with his demon energy seal? Zi Shang shook his head. Without him personally removing the seal, the old man wouldn't wake up. Could it be that Su Junqing saved his grandfather? Luo Tian asked from the side. Impossible. Elder Su is a burden right now. Su Junqing won't gain anything by taking him away, unless Su Junqing has other uses. Yi Jiuge's expression changed when he thought of this possibility. Luo Tian also thought of this possibility and asked in shock, "You mean Su Junqing wants to use his grandfather to cultivate?" Although Bloodthirst sect used human blood to cultivate, it was still rare to see beasts who used their own family members to cultivate. It's very possible. Yi Jiuge's heart sank. During this time, Su Junqing had searched for all kinds of spirit doctors, but none of them could cure the old man's strange illness. It was normal for him to want to use the old man as trash. Su Junqing has always been ruthless. It's not strange for him to do something like this. Yi Yu gritted his teeth. Back then, when his sister Yi Yunji was pregnant with Su Junqing's child, he was the one who personally gave it to the Bloodthirst sect. Send a letter back. We must find Su Junqing. We can't let him take Elder Su back to Bloodthirst sect, Yi Jiuge said seriously. Yi Jiuge said solemnly. If Bloodthirsty ancestor ate old man Su, he might really succeed in leveling up. That would be very bad. Chapter 214. Song Ling and Ziyang have sent people to find him. But Shangjing's security is so tight that Su Junqing managed to find a loophole. It'll be harder to catch him now. Luo Tian wasn't optimistic. Yi Jiuge thought for a while and asked Luo Tian, "Can you raise a parasite that can track evil energy?" "I can't. Only the young master can raise parasites. But he's in seclusion right now. He'll probably come out in 2 days." Luo Tian shook his head. Bloodthirsty's blood essence wasn't that easy to refine. Wait for him here. When he comes out, ask him to raise the tracking parasite. Yi Jiuge quickly made up his mind and said, "We'll return to Shangjing first." Yes. Luo Tian nodded and decided to help the young master refine the blood essence faster. Blood Cloud Peak, 3,000 miles away from Shangjing. Bloodthirsty's ancestor was sleeping on a big redwood bed with his eyes closed. For beautiful and graceful blood slaves dressed in thin gauze surrounded him and served him. 2 beautiful and charming blood slaves gently massaged his legs. The other 2 older blood slaves were holding heavy feather fans to fan forefather Bloodthirsty. The blood slave on the left had a red mole between her eyebrows. She was Yi Yu's sister Yi Yunji. Recently, many young and beautiful blood slaves had come. The ancestor quickly got tired of her. If Lu Yunfei hadn't asked for her skin before she left, she would have been sent to the blood cave to become a cauldron. Today she had earned the right to fan and serve him because of her obedient behavior. The cave was silent except for the sound of the fans flapping in the wind. Bloodthirsty's ancestor closed his eyes. His wrinkled face looked like a shrunken orange. Suddenly he opened his eyes, and a sinister light shot out from them. "Ancestor?" The 2 blood slaves massaging his legs lifted their heads in confusion. They didn't expect Bloodthirsty to kick them. With a loud bang, the 2 blood thralls were torn into pieces, flesh and blood splattering everywhere. Yi Yunji knelt on the ground immediately, not daring to say a word. "Ancestor, spare me," the other blood slave begged for mercy with tears on her face. The gauze on her body slid down, revealing a large area of her white skin. She looked very seductive. Bloodthirsty forefather didn't even look at her because he was so mad. His lifeblood essence had actually been refined by someone else. This was absolutely a great humiliation to him. At this time, the thin monkey-like man came in a panic and reported, "Old ancestor, it's not good. Senior brother Xiong's soul lamp has also extinguished." A bunch of trash. Bloodthirsty's forefather was so enraged that he slapped the charming blood slave to death. Yi Yunji crouched even lower and gave Skinny Monkey a pitiful look. The thin monkey-like man recognized that Yi Yunji wasn't in a good situation. He hurried to talk to Bloodthirsty's forefather. "Forefather, although senior brother Xiong is dead, Su Junqing's soul lamp is still lit." When Yi Yunji heard that Su Junqing was still alive, her eyes immediately emitted an extremely resentful light. She didn't expect that the heartless man was still alive. This was for the best. One day she would dismember Su Junqing's body into 1,000 pieces. Yi Yunji pressed her forehead to the ground and used all her strength to suppress her excitement. Everyone else is dead, only he is still alive. He is quite powerful. As expected, Bloodthirsty's forefather shifted his attention. He squinted and asked, "Are there any of our people in Shangjing?" "Forefather, there is 1 in the Yi mansion and 2 in the palace," the thin monkey-like man answered respectfully. "How come there are only a few people? What can 3 accomplish?" Bloodthirsty's forefather frowned. The wrinkles between his brows were so deep that they looked like they were carved by a knife. Forefather, you are wise. Right now the people in Shangjing are all experienced. We can use them, the thin monkey-like man said carefully. Okay, Bloodthirsty's forefather nodded and ordered, send someone to Shangjing. Tell them to investigate the truth. Be especially careful of that kid Su Junxing. Bloodthirsty's forefather paused and then quickly changed his words. No, if you see him, bring him back immediately. I want to interrogate him personally. Yes, the thin monkey-like man exhaled in relief. This time, 3 people died in this mission. All of them were experts of the sect. Right now, everyone in the sect was in danger. No one dared to make a sound as they were afraid of being sent out. Fortunately, the forefather didn't say anything. All of you can leave. Bloodthirsty's forefather waved his hand tiredly. When the thin monkey-like man bowed and retreated, he imperceptibly waved his hand at Yunji. Yunji also quietly retreated with the thin monkey-like man. After leaving the forefather's cave mansion, the thin monkey-like man finally exhaled in relief. He wiped his sweat and said to Yunji with relief, I thought that arranging for you to fan the forefather would be a good job. I didn't think that this would be a disaster. You're lucky. Thank you, brother Thin Monkey. Otherwise I would have died today. Yunji's pretty face was full of gratitude. There's no need to thank me between us. The thin monkey-like man lowered his voice. The skinny monkey-like man lowered his voice and said, the sect isn't peaceful right now, so be careful during this period of time. Stay within the Flower Palace and try your best not to come out. I'll help you clear the way, and I won't make you serve the ancestor in the near future. I will listen to you, brother Thin Monkey. Yunji's voice was even softer. Her voice was very pleasant. It wasn't sweet or sticky, but it was clear and cold. Coupled with her gentle expression, it made people's hearts itch. When I become a rank 2 blood guard, I will ask the forefather for a favor. I will ask him to reward you to me. At that time you won't have to be afraid anymore. The thin monkey-like man looked at Yunji's thin face with heartache and said softly, before that, you have to endure it. As long as I'm not sent to the blood cave, I can endure anything. Yunji's pretty face flashed with fear. Her fragile appearance was even more pitiful. Don't worry, I won't let you be sent to that filthy blood cave. The thin monkey-like man saw that the little beauty was still scared, so he lowered his voice and said, the forefather's plan to kill Grandmaster Dongfang has failed. He's not in the mood to do that. Don't worry. Really? Yunji blinked her big eyes and looked at the thin monkey-like man for help. Of course it's true. Old Jiang, Old Xiong and Lu Yunfei failed their mission and died in Alchemy City. The Spiritualist Union will definitely come to deal with us. But don't worry, as long as the forefather is here, no one will want to go near Blood Cloud Peak. The thin monkey-like man looked left and right before taking out a blood pill from his belt and putting it in Yunji's hand. He said softly, take this blood pill in secret. Don't let anyone find out. Alright, I won't say any more. Hurry back to Flower Palace. Brother Thin Monkey, you must be careful too. Don't make me worry. Yunji said reluctantly. Don't worry, I will definitely be fine. The thin monkey-like man kept urging Yunji to leave. He looked at Yunji's graceful back and revealed a silly smile. He had been by the forefather's side for so many years and had seen many beautiful blood thralls. However, Yunji was the only one that made him feel different. He liked Yunji's voice the most when she told him to be careful. It would make his heart feel warm. In order to keep this feeling, he had to cultivate harder. He had to save Yunji before the forefather destroyed her. Chapter 215. Bloodthirsty sect's dark passageways had only 2 oil lamps at the top of the cave at the corner, flickering with a dim light. Yunji tried her best to hide in the shadows and silently walked toward 100 Flower Palace. After passing through a passageway, she met a few bloodthirsty sect disciples who had just returned from training. All of them looked at her curvaceous body under the red chiffon with lewd and explicit eyes. Yunji turned a blind eye to this and continued walking forward. The forefather was very protective of his food. The blood slaves of 100 Flower Palace all had blood soul flowers. The fragrance of this blood soul flower was very special and easy to stick to. Anyone who dared to touch the forefather's blood slaves would be stained with the smell of the blood soul flower and die a horrible death. However, the forefather always liked the new and hated the old. After he was tired of playing, he would pull out the blood soul flower and throw the dead blood slaves into the blood cave for others to enjoy. The disciples had coveted Yunji for a long time and laughed. This blood slave has been with the forefather for a long time, she must be very good in bed. The forefather got tired of her a long time ago. If he didn't promise to give her skin to Lu Yunfei, she would have been sent to the blood cave long ago. Little beauty, I advise you to learn how to sleep with 100 men in one night. Us brothers can't wait. 100 men isn't enough. I heard someone brought a blood beast and wants to merge with it to taste her. Fuck, the women they've played with are all rotten. What are we going to do? Don't worry, they're definitely staying behind to reserve the place. Haha, that's more like it. Yi Yunji ignored the malicious words of the bloodthirsty sect disciples and quickened her pace back to 100 Flower Palace. The 100 Flowers Palace sounded very beautiful, but it was actually just a slightly larger cave. Long and narrow chambers were chiseled on top and hung a broken curtain to form their residence. Hearing the sound of Yi Yunji's return, pale faces popped out from behind the broken curtain of the small chamber. The blood slaves here were all women with spirit energy. Bloodthirsty sect's forefather had planted blood soul flowers on them, and all of their spirit energy had melted into their blood. This blood soul flower was very magical. It would form a protective light around their bodies, making them invulnerable to weapons and poisons. It was impossible for them to commit suicide. Bloodthirsty sect's forefather was extremely cruel to those who wanted to commit suicide. The new blood slaves had seen it a few times and no longer wanted to commit suicide. They could only silently wait for death. Yi Yunji was the oldest and lived in the highest chamber. Following the rope that had fallen from the side, she stepped on the steps that were carved out of the cave wall and climbed up to her own cave. The chamber was very narrow and could only allow one person to turn around. Apart from a thin bedding, there was nothing else inside. She had nothing inside except for a thin mattress of the room. After making sure that no one was paying attention, she took out the blood pill that Skinny Monkey had given her. This blood pill was a pill unique to the bloodthirsty sect. It was refined using various medicinal herbs mixed with blood essence, and it could increase the cultivation of the bloodthirsty sect disciples. Forefather Bloodthirsty often sucked the blood of the blood slaves. After a long time, their faces became dry and dull. At this moment, they weren't far from the blood cave. Skinny Sect couldn't save her, so he thought of this method. He wanted her to take a blood pill to preserve her appearance. At least she wouldn't be thrown out by the forefather. Skinny Sect didn't expect that Yi Yunji's Yi family cultivation method was a dark art. This blood pill could not only preserve her appearance, but also allow her to steal a lot of spirit energy from the blood soul flowers. Yi Yunji started to cultivate after swallowing the blood pill. Rays of light started from her dantian and grew stronger after passing through several large meridians. Finally, they entered the inside of her right arm and stopped moving. After Yi Yunji finished cultivating, she gently rubbed the inside of her right arm. There was a lot of light gathered there, enough for her to activate the Yi family's concealment technique and leave. But she wasn't in a hurry. She had learned about the internal routes of Blood Cloud Peak through Skinny Sect. Now, she just had to wait for the right opportunity. If possible, she hoped to teach Bloodthirsty Sect a painful lesson for the hardships she had suffered in the past few days. There was only one chance. She had to be more patient. Yi Yunji adjusted her breathing and continued to meditate. Thunder Country's Shangjing, East Main Street 19, an imposing mansion. Under the command of Mother Qing, the capital magistrate's soldiers were hanging the plaque Yi Mansion bestowed by the emperor. It was such a good day, but Yi Jioga was in seclusion with Zishang. Although it was said to be seclusion, it was actually to avoid the warm hospitality of the great clans and the emperor. When Master Yun sent a top expert to guard Yi Jioga, the news had already spread throughout Thunder Country. Everyone was interested in this expert. They also wanted to build a good relationship with Yi Jioga, this independent spirit alchemist with a bright future. Invitations flew over like snowflakes. Even noble consort Shi and Dongfang Ke wanted to meet her in private. It was said that Emperor Xianwu had even drafted an imperial edict to summon her to the palace at any time. If Zishang was really a guard sent by his grandfather, Yi Jioga could bring him out for a walk. But this guy was a demon. A shameless demon that complained every day about not having enough demon energy and wanted to be kissed and touched. Yi Jioga didn't have the confidence to bring this guy out for a walk, much less bring him into the palace. There were still many experts in Shangjing. If she was accidentally seen through, then all her previous efforts would be wasted. So Yi Jioga decided to go all out. She used the excuse that she had a great enlightenment and cultivation to go into seclusion to break through. But this wasn't entirely an excuse. After experiencing a few traps in Alchemy City, she was fully aware that her martial strength wasn't enough. If Zishang hadn't woken up in time to kill Xiong Yunhu, everyone in the Alchemy Pavilion would have died. During this time, Zishang had been massaging her meridians. It really deepened her spirit energy and strengthened the white bone flame. So Zishang suggested that she use the white bone flame to nourish the thunder snake illusionary whip so that it could fuse better with the bone essence it obtained from the white bone cave. While Yi Jioge was in seclusion, the situation in Shangjing was turbulent. Because of Yi Jioge's bad conduct, the crown prince was demoted to a commoner. It was said that he died not long after. The empress missed the crown prince too much. In her sorrow and despair, she actually committed suicide to follow him. A country couldn't be without a ruler. The crown prince was the same. So Emperor Xianwu announced to the world that Dongfang Ke would be the new crown prince and enter the East Palace. Originally, Emperor Xianwu wanted to make imperial consort Shi the empress. Unexpectedly, imperial consort Shi declined. Instead, she suggested that Dongfang Ke's birth mother, imperial noble consort Bai Linglong, be posthumously named the benevolent empress. Emperor Xianwu agreed. After Bai Linglong was posthumously named the benevolent empress, imperial noble consort, she was promoted to imperial noble consort. This news spread throughout the entire Thunder Country. Even though Yi Jioge was in seclusion, she still heard about it. All of this was within her expectations. The crown prince and empress had brought about their own destruction. They could have cooperated with anyone, but they actually cooperated with evil cultivators. What she was worried about now was that she couldn't always be in seclusion. She had to think of a way to deal with those people who were inquiring about Zishang. Chapter 216. Yi Jioge's table was piled up like a hill of invitations, but she didn't look at them. After thinking for a while, she had made a decision to go out and see imperial concubine Shi first. No, now she should call her imperial concubine Shi. Yi Jioge felt that as a woman, it was better to go to see imperial concubine Shi first than to see Xianwu emperor directly. However, imperial concubine Shi was very popular now. She didn't know if there was any change compared to before. After Yi Jioge decided, she went to the alchemy room to refine a bottle of beauty pills and prepared to go out. After being in seclusion for so many days, I can finally go out. Zishang stretched his body. Yi Jioge was in seclusion, so he, as her personal guard, naturally had to come in and guide her. After going out, be honest and don't flirt with me. Yi Jioge had a headache when she saw Zishang's evil appearance. She had suggested Zishang to change to an ordinary face before, but he didn't. Hee, how can those common flowers enter this sovereign's eyes? The sovereign loves you. Zishang hugged Yi Jioge and kissed her on the face. After going out, be more respectful. Yi Jioge looked indifferent and let him kiss her without moving. During this time she had figured out a way to deal with Zishang. As long as she was ruthless, cold, and put down her bottom line, Zishang would restrain himself. Yes. Sure enough, when Zishang saw Yi Jioge's indifferent face, he immediately became honest. Yi Jioge opened the door and went out. She saw Pearl guarding outside. These days Yu Dai and Pearl had been guarding outside, waiting for Yi Jioge's orders. Has the plaque given by the emperor been hung up? What happened in the mansion recently? Yi Jioge asked as she walked. Mother Qing has asked the people of the governor's office to hang it up. Pearl followed Yi Jioge and reported what happened in the mansion. They left Yi Mansion to set up their own house. There were only maids and old women from Purple Forest Garden in the mansion. However, Yi Jioge announced that she would go into seclusion at this time. Fortunately, Mother Qing had been in contact with the old servants of the Yun family these years. Relying on those old servants, Yi Mansion was finally supported. Even when the emperor sent someone to deliver the imperial plaque, it was Mother Qing who braced herself to receive it. Congratulations, young miss, for successfully advancing. A white-haired, serious-looking old man respectfully bowed to Yi Jioge. This was also an old man from the Yun residence, Huazhenwei. Back then Yun Tianwei had chosen this position for Yun Jiaojiao. His cultivation was profound and he was only one step away from becoming a spirit master. After Yun Jiaojiao died, Huazhenwei was sent out by Yi Yuxuan to carry out a mission. He didn't expect this mission to be a trap set up by his enemies. After he was plotted against, his cultivation base plummeted. Disheartened, he concealed his identity and lived in seclusion in the countryside. It was Mother Qing who personally picked him up. After Yi Jioge healed his internal injuries and restored his cultivation, he appointed him as the Yi residence's chief steward. After Yi Jioge went into seclusion, the Yi family was able to be so peaceful, and it was all thanks to Elder Hua. Old Hua, please help me call Mother Qing, I have something to ask her. Yi Jioge politely ordered. I'll go now. Elder Hua quickly brought Mother Qing over. Has there been any movement from the Yi family recently? Yijioga picked up the teacup and took a sip. Replying to eldest miss, after the Su family fell, the master did not like Su Yufeng and her mother very much. Some time ago he used the excuse of sending Yi Shanshan to learn martial arts, but in fact he gave her to the Danyang sect's Ling Yun ancestor as a concubine in exchange for a rank 5 spirit herb, purple cloud root. Mother Qing said with disdain. I remember that Ling Yun ancestor is already more than 200 years old. Yijioga was a little surprised. Yi Shanshan was only 17 years old. It was too exaggerated to be a concubine for an old man who was her grandfather's age. Don't you know the master's temper? There's nothing he can't do. Mother Qing sneered, her face full of disdain. Although she didn't like Yi Shanshan, a good virgin was taken by her own father to exchange for a spirit herb. This kind of behavior was despicable. Yijioga also sighed. Thinking about Yi Shanshan's arrogant and rude appearance, now she had to serve an old man. It was really not an ordinary kind of miserable. However, this was also what she deserved. Yijioga would not sympathize with her, so he changed the topic. How is fourth sister now? She was most concerned about this sister. Fourth miss is now very favored by the master, but she is a little too close to seventh concubine. When Mother Qing said this, she suddenly frowned. Keep an eye on seventh concubine. If she has any unusual movements, immediately report to me. When she was in the Yi mansion, she had some doubts about the relationship between seventh concubine and the empress. Unfortunately, she did not find any evidence. Now that the empress had fallen, seventh concubine suddenly approached Yi Rui. Maybe she had some plans. Eldest miss, rest assured. This old servant has already sent people to keep an eye on her. Mother Qing did not have any good impression of seventh concubine. She had already arranged for people to keep an eye on her. Is there anything else in the mansion? Yijioga asked again. She had just established her own family and immediately went into seclusion. Mother Qing was managing the mansion from top to bottom. There were still many things that she had not figured out. Our mansion has a small population, so there is no big problem. It is just that there are people coming to visit the mansion every day. Eldest miss, you can't just hide like this. Mother Qing said with a bitter face. In the past, she had always hoped that eldest miss could continue the glory of the Yun family and become the most famous noble lady in Shangjing. Now that she had achieved her goal, she was worried again. With so many people, it would be difficult to meet anyone. In the end, the one who was tired was her eldest miss. Don't worry about those people. I am going to the palace to see Imperial concubine Shi tomorrow. Help me wrap up this bottle of beauty pills. Yijioga took out a delicate white jade bottle from his Chengkuan bag. Yes. Mother Qing took the white jade bottle and asked hesitantly, do you need to send a message to the palace? It didn't seem very good to enter the palace without informing them. No need, so as not to cause more trouble. Yijioga shook his head. She had the palace token left by Imperial concubine Shi in her hand. She could enter at any time. Then tomorrow this old servant will accompany you. Mother Qing said and went to make arrangements. Yijioga rested for the night. The next morning she took Mother Qing to the palace in a carriage to see the Imperial concubine. The guard captain looked at her palace token and secretly looked at her a few times. He did not ask much and let her in. If it was in the past, even with this palace token, there would be a lot of questioning. But now Yijioga had become famous because of the incident in Alchemy City. The guards in the palace recognized her and did not dare to offend her. Yijioga brought Mother Qing to Splendid Palace. From afar she saw Aunt Hongxiu waiting at the door. She smiled and greeted, Eldest miss, you didn't tell us in advance that you were going to enter the palace. This servant was shocked when I received the news. Chapter 217. I wanted to give you a surprise. Yijioga also smiled. This is indeed a big surprise. She was so happy that she wanted to come out and pick you up personally. Hongxiu smiled. This is too much. Yijioga knew that Hongxiu was joking, so he said a few words. Yijioga entered Splendid Palace and saw Imperial concubine Shi standing in the palace. Although it was just a simple white dress, it didn't damage her imposing manner at all. She was unreachable like the clouds, completely worthy of her title of Imperial concubine. When Imperial concubine Shi saw Yijioga, she immediately greeted her with a smile. She held her hand and said, Little heartless, you finally know to come see me first after coming out of seclusion. Yijioga heard Imperial concubine Shi call herself I, and felt slightly relieved. It seemed that Imperial concubine Shi hadn't changed yet. Imperial concubine Shi took Yijioga's hand and sat down. A trace of guilt appeared on her beautiful face. I'm really sorry about the plaque. I originally wanted the emperor to name Yu Yun Mansion, but I didn't expect the emperor. Imperial concubine, she sighed before finishing her words. When she learned that Yi Jioga was leaving Yi Mansion to set up her own house, she was sincerely happy for her. She wanted to ask the emperor to name Yi Jioga Yun Mansion to support her. After all, Yi Jioga was the last bloodline of the Yun family and was also surnamed Yun. The emperor didn't say anything at the time, but in the blink of an eye, he named Yi Mansion and sent it to Yi Jioga. She wanted to stop him, but it was too late. There's no difference between Yi Mansion and Yun Mansion. You don't need to take it to heart. Yi Jioga really didn't care. A name was just a title. If she had to change her name just to draw a line with Yi Yuxuan, it would be making a big fuss. No matter what, I didn't think this through. Imperial concubine, she let out a long sigh. If Yi Jioga hadn't helped her detoxify, she would still be living a miserable life in the imperial temple. How could she have the glory she had today, let alone push down the empress and crown prince? If you feel bad, then accept this. Yi Jioga smiled and changed the topic. She took out the beauty pill from her Chengkuan bag. You give gifts every time you come. You're too polite. Noble consort, she knew that Yi Jioga didn't want to talk about the plaque anymore, so she glared at her. When noble consort, she took the gift and handed it to Hong Xiu, she gave her a look. Hong Xiu took the gifts knowingly and left with all the palace maids. When Yi Jioga saw this scene, she knew that noble consort, she had something to talk to her in private, so she also straightened her face. Jioga, I heard that your grandfather sent a top expert to protect you. Is that true? Noble consort, she's tone was very serious. It's true. Yi Jioga repeated the lie from before, then pretended to sigh in pity and said, it's a pity that this expert's personality is too hard to figure out. He usually appears and disappears unpredictably. If he doesn't want to appear, I won't be able to find him. Yi Jioga's words were meant to stop those people from thinking of meeting Zishang. In any case, Zishang was a great expert and he could not command him. If he wanted to see Zishang, he could go and find him himself. When noble consort, she heard Yi Jioga's words, an expression of hesitation appeared on her face. Yi Jioga looked at her doubtfully. The expression on noble consort, she's face changed again and again. Finally, she hardened her heart and said, I've heard a rumor about Master Yun before, but I don't know if it's true or false. Whether it's true or false, please tell me directly. Yi Jioga sat up straight, showing that she took this matter very seriously. You also know that I've been inquiring about Master Yun's whereabouts before. Later, I accidentally heard a news that Master Yun had been secretly killed because of a treasure map. After noble consort she finished speaking, she looked at Yi Jioga worriedly. Yi Jioga's face immediately turned pale. This expression was half real and half fake. She had suspected that the treasure map was related to her grandfather. Now, noble consort, she's words were just to help her confirm it. But she didn't expect that her grandfather had been killed. Speaking of which, when she first returned from the 10,000 zhang abyss, Yi Yuxuan's attitude was very strange, as if he had already determined that her grandfather was gone. Yi Jioga closed her eyes hard. When she opened them again, she had already calmed down. She asked noble consort, where did you hear this rumor? It's not convenient to say. The most important thing right now is to find out whether the identity of that great expert is true or false. Noble consort, she avoided Yi Jioga's gaze. She couldn't tell Yi Jioga that she had eavesdropped on this matter from Xianwu Emperor. Although she used to hate Xianwu Emperor, with the death of the Empress and Dongfang Ke moving into the East Palace, her hatred gradually faded. No matter what, her and Keir's future depended on this man. No matter how much she hated him, she couldn't deal with him. She only told this news to Yi Jioga because of their past relationship. I understand. Thank you for telling me, Your Highness. Yi Jioga nodded. She knew that she was in big trouble this time. Her grandfather's disappearance was related to the treasure map. Now that Zishang had appeared under his name, didn't it mean that Zishang knew the whereabouts of the treasure map? Those who wanted the treasure map would probably swarm over. However, this was also an opportunity. Those who knew that her grandfather was related to the treasure map would definitely know the truth of her grandfather's disappearance. Or rather, the truth of her grandfather's death. Thinking of this, Yi Jioga's heart was in a mess. He didn't want to stay any longer and got up to leave. Noble consort, she didn't try to keep him. She only said, be careful in the future. Your Highness, Jioga will remember your good intentions. Yi Jioga felt that it was the right decision to spend so much effort to save noble consort she. Noble consort, she smiled and said meaningfully, you should thank Kate instead of me. He's always been thinking about you. The reason she was willing to tell this secret was related to Dongfang Kei's tacit consent. Don't worry, Your Highness. I've always remembered His Highness Prince Dongling's matter. I've already found a way to cure him of the remaining poison, Yi Jioge promised solemnly. Although the poisonous earth dragon goo had cured most of the poison in Dongfang Kei's body, the most important part hadn't been completely cured. When Junichen returned, he could use his natal goo to cure Dongfang Kei completely. Noble consort, she didn't expect Yi Jioge to be so straightforward and not understand the meaning behind her words. She smiled helplessly, but in her heart, she understood that Kate and Yi Jioge probably weren't fated to be together. Noble consort, she summoned Aunt Hongxiu and had her send Yi Jioge out of the palace. When he passed by the imperial garden, he saw Dongfang Kei standing under a red flower tree in the distance. He wore a golden crown with 7 pearls on his head and a deep purple robe embroidered with a 5-clawed golden dragon. His handsome face was still gloomy, but when he saw Yi Jioge walk over, his eyes couldn't help but light up. Your Highness, why are you here? Yi Jioge asked in surprise. I've been waiting for you here. Dongfang Kei looked at Yi Jioge with an especially gentle gaze. Yi Jioge didn't notice and asked straightforwardly, what instructions does Your Highness have? Chapter 218. Did Her Highness tell you about the treasure map and your grandfather? Dongfang Kei's gaze was somewhat disappointed, but he pretended to be nonchalant. She did, Yi Jioge nodded. You have to be careful, there are many people who want the treasure map. Don't easily trust anyone, especially those experts. Dongfang Kei's words were just short of saying that Zishang's identity was fake. I know, thank you for your concern, Your Highness. Yi Jioge didn't explain any further. She knew Zishang's origins better than anyone. He definitely wasn't a swindler. At this moment, Zishang suddenly said unhappily, is this brat looking to die? Although he was already in human form, it wasn't appropriate for him to follow Yi Jioge to the harem, so he hid in the imprint. He hadn't expected to be caught red-handed. Don't do anything rash, Yi Jioge hurriedly said. Actually, she could somewhat sense Dongfang Kei's intentions, but she didn't take it to heart. Putting aside the fact that Zishang was a domineering obstacle, even without him, it was impossible for her and Dongfang Kei to be together. Because Dongfang Kei wasn't her cup of tea. Dongfang Kei didn't know that Yi Jioge was talking to Zishang in private. He even said sincerely to Yi Jioge, no matter what happens, come find me if you need anything. I will always stand behind you. This was already equivalent to a confession. Thank you, I will find Your Highness if I need anything. It's getting late, farewell. Yi Jioge clearly didn't take Dongfang Kei's words to heart. Since it was impossible, he shouldn't give Dongfang Kei any hope. Thus Yi Jioge straightforwardly left. Dongfang Kei looked at Yi Jioge's departing figure for a long time before sighing softly. Although he had already guessed that Yi Jioge had no interest in him, he was still a bit disappointed that Yi Jioge had left so decisively. Your Highness. Aunt Hongxiu's face was full of worry. Dongfang Kei quickly composed himself and instructed Hongxiu, pass down the order to ensure Yi Jioge's safety. Although Yi Jioge had rejected him, he still didn't want to see anything happen to her. Yi Jioge returned to the residence and summoned Zishang. Come out and help me. Zishang quickly appeared from the mark and landed in front of Yi Jioge. He asked with a grin, say it. Even if I have to climb a mountain of swords or go through a sea of flames, I won't hesitate. He was very satisfied with Yi Jioge's attitude when she rejected him. I'm going to look for Yi Yuxuan tonight. Yi Jioge's face sank. Although she had long guessed that her grandfather's disappearance was related to Yi Yuxuan, no matter how much of a scumbag Yi Yuxuan was, he was still her biological father. She didn't want to take things too far until the very end. But now that it was related to his grandfather's safety, he had no choice but to go. However, if he wanted to get information from Yi Yuxuan, he would need Zishang's help. No problem. Zishang nodded without hesitation. The night sky hung high, the stars were lonely, and the moon was as cool as water. Yi Yuxuan was currently in his room drowning his sorrows in alcohol. His usually elegant figure seemed to be in dire straits. He didn't know what he had done wrong to end up like this. He had thought that breaking off the father-daughter relationship with Yi Jioge would be a quick move, and he would be able to get rid of this annoying evil girl. However, no one expected Yi Jioge to turn the tables in the face of adversity and become the hero against the evil cultivators. Meanwhile, he had become a joke. Even Emperor Xianwu was making matters worse by giving Yi Jioge a new plaque. This was clearly encouraging her to go against him. The more Yi Yuxuan thought about it, the more annoyed he became. he couldn't help but drink another mouthful of alcohol. At this time, Songbai quietly walked in and carefully reported, "Master, Madam said that she's not feeling well and wants to invite you over to take a look. If you're not feeling well, go find a doctor. Don't bother me with everything." Yi Yuxuan was already a bit drunk and roared with a red face. "The doctor said that Madam is depressed and needs to relax," Songbai said with a bitter face. Ever since second young miss was sent away by Master, Madam had been crying all day. However, Master seemed to hate her to the extreme and hadn't even come to see her for a long time. The servants, were stuck in the middle and were bullied on both sides. "Tell her that if anything happens to the child in her stomach, she won't be able to live," Yi Yuxuan said fiercely. If it wasn't for the unborn child, he would have written a divorce letter and told Su Yufeng to scram a long time ago. Songbai didn't expect Master to be so heartless towards Madam. His heart pounded and he didn't dare to say anything else. He hurriedly left. Yi Yuxuan still hadn't vented his anger. He picked up his wine cup and smashed it against the wall. He angrily shouted, "Slut, stupid woman." Back then he thought Su Yufeng was a smart person. He didn't expect her to be even more stupid than a pig. "If she's a stupid woman, then aren't you even more stupid?" A cold voice rang out. "Who is it?" Yi Yuxuan fiercely looked around and saw a slim figure wearing a sky-blue dress standing by the mahogany window. Her black hair was simply tied into a snake bun with only a pearl hairpin. A few strands of hair fell to the side of her fair cheeks. Her eyebrows were black and her eyes were like peach blossoms. Her facial features were exquisite and overflowing with spiritual energy. She was like a fairy that had fallen to the mortal world. "Jiao Jiao." The drunk Yi Yuxuan cried out. "You don't have the right to call me that," Yi Jioga coldly replied. Ever since she found her mother's life-saving pill in the secret compartment of the study, she knew that this scumbag of a father's love for her mother was fake. Yi Yuxuan's muddled mind finally woke up. The girl in front of him wasn't his first wife, Yin Jiao Jiao. She was clearly the evil girl Yi Jioga. "What are you doing here?" Yi Yuxuan shouted fiercely. He already knew that Yi Jioga wouldn't come back. The current situation clearly showed that she didn't come with good intentions. "Let me ask you, does grandfather's disappearance have anything to do with you?" Yi Jioga didn't bother being polite with his scumbag father and directly asked. "What nonsense are you talking about? What does your grandfather's disappearance have to do with me?" Yi Yuxuan raised his voice and glared fiercely at Yi Jioga like an enraged bull. However, Yi Jioga could see the weakness in his heart and coldly stared back at him. Cold sweat gradually appeared on Yi Yuxuan's forehead. That face that resembled Yun Jiao Jiao gave him incomparably great pressure. His throat moved and he couldn't help but guiltily look away. Suddenly, he noticed that there were 3 shadows on the dimly lit ground. The extra shadow was standing beside Yi Jioga. Yi Yuxuan abruptly looked up, but there was nothing beside Yi Jioga. No, there must be something fishy going on. An extremely beautiful face flashed through Yi Yuxuan's mind, and his heart immediately trembled. It must be that expert called Yi Zi beside Yi Jioga. Yi Yuxuan was just about to question Yi Jioga when he realized in horror that the shadow suddenly pounced towards him. The next moment he froze on the spot, unable to move. Chapter 219. A pair of cold purple vertical pupils appeared in front of Yi Yuxuan. Like a bottomless well, they surged and flowed in a strange and extraordinary manner. Then, the purple vertical pupils split into 4 and kept spinning like a dazzling kaleidoscope. Yi Yuxuan's eyes also spun like mosquito coils, his expression becoming more and more lifeless. "All right." Zishang retreated to Yi Jioga's side, indicating that she could ask questions. "Did you cause the Yunwei Sea?" Yi Jioga stared at Yi Yuxuan's eyes and asked. "No, I was just instructed by someone back then." Yi Yuxuan honestly explained everything with a wooden face. Back then, as a son-in-law, he was looked down upon everywhere and had always been resentful. Later, a masked man came and gave him a poison pill, asking him to find a chance to give it to the Yunwei Sea. At first, he was very hesitant and afraid, but as his ambition grew, his desire to take over the Yun family became more and more insane. In the end, he used Yun Jiao Jiao to poison the Yunwei Sea. After being poisoned, the Yunwei Sea disappeared and was never heard from again. After the weak Yun Jiao Jiao fell ill, he quietly changed the dynasty of the Yun family to the Yi family. Later, Yun Jiao Jiao seemed to have discovered something and raised doubts, even wanting to take back the Yun family's things. Seeing this, Yi Yuxuan immediately panicked. He didn't dare to harm Yun Jiao Jiao, so he only secretly replaced the supreme grade pills she took with substandard ones. Just like that, he watched his wife die of illness. Because of these shameful things, he disliked Yi Jioge, who carried the Yun family's blood. It was as if Yi Jioge's death could cover up his ugly crimes. After Yi Yuxuan finished explaining, he continued to stand where he was, stupefied. The room was as quiet as a grave. Kill him? Zishang asked Yi Jioge. For a moment, Yi Jioge really wanted to kill Yi Yuxuan, this heartless scumbag of a father. But suddenly Yi Rui's petite figure appeared in his mind. Yi Yuxuan was also Yi Rui's father. Although he was scumbag to the fifth aunt, he was still good to his talented daughter. Yi Rui was still young, having a Pill Dao master as a father would be more helpful to her future. Just give him the spirit-dispersing pill, Yi Jioge said coldly. To a spiritualist, the gradual disappearance of one's cultivation base was the most painful. By the time Yi Yuxuan became trash, Yi Rui would have grown up. Let this scum of a father live in pain forever. That was the ending he deserved. It's nothing. Zishang took out a bottle of spirit-dispersing pills, wrapped them with his demonic energy, and buried them in several major acupoints on Yi Yuxuan's body. In this way, Yi Yuxuan's early cultivation wouldn't change much, but when he discovered it, it would be too late. Let's go. Yi Jioge no longer looked at his father and left with Zishang. The journey back was a little dull. Yi Jioge's heart was heavy. He didn't want to say anything. At this moment, Zishang suddenly said, "Your grandfather might not be dead. You don't have to comfort me." Yi Jioge stared straight ahead without turning his head. According to Yi Yuxuan, the poison pill's effects were fierce, and the poisonous gas was overbearing. Grandfather was probably dead. I'm not comforting you. If your grandfather is really dead, his corpse should have appeared, not gone missing. Maybe he's still looking for a way to cure the poison and waiting for you to find him, Zishang said seriously. You're right. Grandfather must be waiting for me. Yi Jioge's fighting spirit was instantly ignited. Not only did she want to save her grandfather, but she also wanted to find the black-clothed man who plotted against her grandfather. Yi Jioge thought about it, and the only clue she had was the treasure map. She returned to the mansion and immediately took out the treasure map. Currently she only had 1.5. She got one from the crown prince. Yi Yu gave her half, and Yi Yunji still had the other half. Yi Jioge had a feeling that she might be able to find some clues about her grandfather's disappearance from the bloodthirsty ancestor. After all, the bloodthirsty sect was very good at poison pills. After Yi Jioge decided to go to the Blood Cloud Peak to deal with the bloodthirsty ancestor, she sent an invitation to Bai Songling and Wan Ziang, inviting them over for a chat. The two had long wanted to meet Yi Jioge, and immediately rushed over after receiving the message. Yi Jioge received them in the hall. The three of them greeted each other and exchanged some pleasantries. Yi Jioge then pretended to be chatting and asked Bai Songling, "Brother Bai, I heard that Junichen has already refined the tracking goo. Did you guys find Su Junqing?" While Yi Jioge was in seclusion, Junichen, Luo Tian, and Yi Yu had been helping Bai Songling and Wan Ziang to search for Su Junqing, and the tracking goo was successfully refined. No, Junichen said that Su Junqing has escaped to the Blood Cloud Peak. Bai Songling said gloomily. They had set up many traps, but Su Junqing still escaped. It was really depressing. What did the Spiritualist Alliance say? Did they let the bloodthirsty sect's evil cultivators be arrogant? Yi Jioge asked. This was what she was most concerned about. Otherwise, she, Yi Yu, and the others did not have the confidence to go to the Blood Cloud Peak to save Yi Yunji. The Spiritualist Alliance is still discussing, but Master Dongfang personally went to the Spiritualist Alliance to offer a reward. He said that if anyone can find the Blood Lotus and kill the bloodthirsty ancestor, he is willing to exchange a master-building pill. Bai Songling revealed a big piece of news. Master Dongfang actually has a master-building pill? Yi Jioge was shocked. The master-building pill could increase the chances of becoming a spirit master. Because the spiritual energy was getting sparser and the age of the spiritual herbs was getting lower, it was hard to refine the master-building pill, which made it harder to become a spirit master. There were less than 10 spirit masters in the whole Thunder Country, and countless people were stuck at the advanced spirit master level. Although Yi Jioge's cultivation was still a distance away from that of a spirit master, it would not be wrong to get it. Thinking of this, she was a little tempted. Yes, many spirit masters are fighting to sign up, and there are many core disciples of famous righteous sections. It is said that hundreds of people have signed up. The Alliance is a little worried, not knowing who to send to lead the team. After all, the bloodthirsty ancestor is not easy to deal with. Bai Songling said emotionally. This master-building pill was Master Dongfang's trump card. If he was not in a hurry to use the blood lotus to recover his cultivation, he would not have taken it out. I hope the Alliance can send more experts. That will be more beneficial to us. Although Yi Jioga was tempted by the master-building pill, she still remembered that her most important mission was to rescue Yi Yunji and find clues about her grandfather's disappearance. First Miss is also going to the Blood Cloud Peak to kill the bloodthirsty sect? Bai Songling asked in surprise. The Blood Cloud Peak was thousands of miles away from Thunder Country. The journey there would definitely be dangerous. After all, the bloodthirsty ancestor would not be unprepared. Chapter 220. Yes, Yi Yu is going to the bloodthirsty sect to save his sister. Luo Tian and Juni Chen are going to avenge their clansmen. As their friend, I have to help them. Yi Jioga didn't mention the treasure map. Even though she was friends with Bai Songling and Wan Ziang, she didn't forget that they were from the imperial court. After all, Emperor Xianwu was also very ambitious about the treasure map. With Senior Yi Zi here, First Miss will definitely be able to kill the bloodthirsty sect ancestor and get the blood lotus, Bai Songling said and looked at the handsome man standing behind Yi Jioga. This great expert called Yi Zi had become a famous person in Shangjing recently. Countless people wanted to get to know him and ask about Master Yun's whereabouts. Unfortunately, this great expert came and went like a ghost. He had a strange personality and didn't care about people. Even people who were close to Yi Jioga didn't have a chance to talk to him. Zi Shang, who was standing behind Yi Jioga, didn't hear Bai Songling. His lazy look made it seem like he hadn't woken up yet. Big brother Bai, you flatter me. Yi Jioga smiled and changed the topic. Big brother Bai and big brother Wan, do you want to come with us? We want to go too, but we don't have the time. Bai Songling had a regretful expression. Now that Dongfang Ke had just become the crown prince, there were many things he needed their help with. They couldn't go even if they wanted to. Since you two are in Shangjing, I will need you two to take care of my Yi mansion. Yi Jioga smiled. If it wasn't for Bai Songling and Wan Ziang, Elder Huo wouldn't have accepted the imperial plaque so easily. Don't be so polite with me. Bai Songling pretended to be unhappy. Ever since they returned to Shangjing, he realized that Yi Jioga's relationship with them had become distant. Although it was because they were serving different masters, it still made him feel bad. If he could, he wanted to follow Yi Jioga like Yi Yu and Luo Tian. Unfortunately, the Bai family had done him a great favor. His life belonged to the Bai family and Dongfang Quebec Wan Ziang was the same. Back then, when the Wan clan was wronged and their entire clan was killed, it was all thanks to the Bai clan that they were able to clear their name. They had to repay this debt of gratitude. Yi Jioga also knew that it was impossible for them to go, so he said, I have another matter that I would like to ask for your help with. Just tell us what you need. As long as we can do it, we will definitely help, Bai Songling said without hesitation. The two of you also know that the bloodthirsty sect is not easy to deal with, so please help me find out more about the Spiritualist Alliance. Yi Jioga didn't stand on ceremony with them. They had some connections in the Spiritualist Alliance. Don't worry, we will inform you as soon as we have news. Bai Songling and Wan Ziang talked with Yi Jioga for a while. Seeing that it was getting late, they got up at the same time and said, we still have work to do. Goodbye. Both of them were now promoted. Bai Songling was transferred to the Imperial Army as a commander, and Wan Ziang was promoted to the Minister of Justice. The two of them were extremely busy every day. Today they finally managed to squeeze out some time to see Yi Jioga, so they had to leave after discussing some matters. I'll send you off. Yi Jioga stood up. It's just a few steps. There's no need to send me off. If you continue to be so polite, I won't come again, Bai Songling said jokingly. All right, let Elder Hua send you off. As an advanced spiritualist, Elder Hua could completely represent Yi Jioga. This way please. Elder Hua came forward in time and personally sent the two of them off. The hall was empty in the blink of an eye. Yi Jio returned to his seat and picked up a teacup to moisten his throat. Just as he was about to speak to Zi Shang, he suddenly raised his hand and flicked a black-purple spirit light toward the roof. Who's there? Yi Jioga immediately looked up. He saw Yi Yu, Luo Tian and Juni Chen fall from the roof beam like dumplings. What the hell are you doing? Yi Jioga put down his teacup and looked at Juni Chen with a puzzled expression. I don't want to run into that chatterbox Bai Songling, so I wanted to hide on the roof. Juni Chen looked at Zi Shang with some fear. Ever since he absorbed the drop of blood essence from the bloodthirsty patriarch, his cultivation had greatly improved. He thought he could give Yi Jioga a scare, but he didn't expect to be knocked down as soon as he touched the roof. This devilishly handsome man was indeed an expert. His accurate judgment was too terrifying. No wonder he could kill Xiong Yunhu who was on a rampage. Boring, childish. Yi Jioge instantly understood Juni Chen's intention to show off. Tieske, a little brat is a little brat. He used to pretend to be arrogant and cold, but now he finally showed his true colors. Luo Tian had always been indulgent toward Juni Chen, so accompanying him was understandable. But Yi Yu wasn't a child anymore. How could he be as mischievous as Juni Chen? Yi Jioge thought about this and asked Yi Yu, Juni Chen and Brother Bai are at odds, so it's normal that they don't want to see each other. Why don't you want to see them? It's not that I don't want to see them, but I don't want them to know about the treasure map. Yi was also very direct. He and Yi Jioge had the same idea. The treasure map had to be hidden from them. They know you have the treasure map? Yi Jioge was a little surprised, but he understood after thinking about it. When Su Junqing and the Crown Prince worked together to destroy the Yi family, it only took a little speculation to understand what had happened. Yes, a lot of people have been asking about the treasure map recently. Miss, you must be careful. Yi was very worried. The treasure map was originally an extremely secretive matter, but now that it was exposed after the Crown Prince fell, the situation in Shangjing was very chaotic. It's useless to be careful. At this time, we have to take the initiative and try to collect the treasure map as soon as possible. This time, the Spiritualist Alliance is going to deal with the bloodthirsty ancestor. We have to take this opportunity to save your sister. Yi Jioge said decisively. Okay. Yi Yu's spirit was lifted and he nodded hard. He had been waiting for this moment for a long time. At this time, Juni Chen, who had been quietly listening on the side, suddenly asked Yi Jioge, if there was a treasure map in front of you, how much would you pay to buy it? From what you said, do you have a treasure map? Yi Jioge raised his eyebrows. The Blood Cloak tribe had always been low-key, and they didn't seem like people who would participate in this kind of thing. Yes, our tribe has a treasure map that has been passed down for generations. If you are willing to teach me beast language, I will give it to you. Juni Chen really wanted to learn beast language from Yi Jioge. I can't teach you beast language. This is a bloodline ability passed down to me by my grandfather's ancestors. Yi Jioge and Zi Shang had already rehearsed the lines, so he just needed to push it to his grandfather. Juni Chen frowned. If it was a bloodline ability, then there was nothing he could do. Thus, he simply changed his condition. Chapter 221. Then give me 100 bottles of spirit beast pills to exchange. Juni Chen waved his hand domineeringly. He was calculating in his heart. The blood-clothed Miao tribe only had him and Luo Tian left. Luo Tian had already sold himself to Yi Jioge. The treasure map was useless to him, he might as well give it to Yi Jioge. When she went treasure hunting, he and Luo Tian would go and help her. They could exchange the treasures for spirit beast pills. In short, the spirit beast pill was the greatest benefit. This is too troublesome. How about I give you the spirit beast pill recipe? You can refine as many as you want. Yi Jioge was chased by Juni Chen for spirit beast pills every day. He was so annoyed that he wanted to give the recipe away to save trouble. I am not interested in refining pills. Juni Chen shook his head. He was sure of Yi Jioge. Alright, 100 bottles it is, but I don't have time to refine now. I will give you 10 bottles first. I will give you the rest 15 days later. Yi Jioge said helplessly. Also, don't forget the debt from buying the goo worms. Juni Chen added seriously. Even if I want to forget, I need a chance. Yi Jioge was very unhappy. Cough cough. At this time, Luo Tian suddenly covered his mouth and coughed a few times, then pretended to say casually, if it is convenient, how about giving me this month's spirit beast pills? A monthly allowance of 1 bottle, such a good benefit, he could not lose it. Then can my monthly allowance be changed to spirit beast pills, or can I buy a bottle from you? Yu asked carefully. Recently, Black Overlord had been complaining to him every day, saying that Xiao Hong could eat spirit beast pills with its master, but it had to eat poison with its master every day. It even had the thought of going on strike. Alright, I will give it all. Yi Jioge felt that he really owed them. Thank you, Mississippi, Luo Tian smiled reservedly. Don't thank me too early. Yi Jioge glared at Luo Tian, then said to Juni Chen, if you want to get spirit beast pills, you have to do something for me. What is it? Juni Chen looked at Yi Jioge vigilantly. Don't mention it if it's too difficult. It's not difficult. It's just that the newly appointed Crown Prince, Dongfang Ke, still has remnants of the Frost Spider's king poison in his body. I would like to ask you to help him resolve it. Yi Jioge felt that his request was not too excessive. If it weren't for her help, Junie Chen wouldn't have been able to obtain Ancestor Bloodthirsty's blood essence. Now that he was asked for a small favor, he probably wouldn't refuse. It's a piece of cake. I'll just make a trip there myself tonight. Junie Chen patted his chest in satisfaction. Yi Jiuge was stunned. He felt that there was something wrong with Junie Chen today. In the past, Junie Chen rarely had any expressions. Today, however, his expression was so rich that it was scary. It was as if all his emotions were displayed on his face. You've also noticed that young master is different. Junie Chen actually smiled at Yi Jiuge. Those little white teeth were really frightening. Are you possessed by something evil? Yi Jiuge asked suspiciously. Tui, you're the one who's possessed by something evil. Junie Chen glared at Yi Jiuge in dissatisfaction. Then he said proudly, after I refined the bloodthirsty old man's blood essence, my cultivation rose greatly. My soul became one. This is my true appearance. His appearance was really unlikable. Yi Jiuge couldn't help but look at Luo Tian. She had a feeling that Junie Chen's behavior wasn't that simple. Luo Tian avoided Yi Jiuge's gaze and didn't say anything. Although he had already sold himself to Yi Jiuge, this was related to his young master's secret. He decided to remain silent. Seeing that, Yi Jiuge didn't ask any further. Instead, he mentioned another matter. Since we've already decided to go to Blood Cloud Peak to deal with Ancestor Bloodthirsty, then we have to start preparing everything. I'll be in charge of the elixirs. You guys are in charge of gathering information about Blood Cloud Peak and paying attention to the Spiritualist Alliance's movements. After Yi Jiuge finished speaking, he asked Luo Tian, you guys should be very familiar with Blood Cloud Peak. Is there anything that we need to pay attention to? We've already left Blood Cloud Peak for 3 years. These few years, Ancestor Bloodthirsty hasn't stopped exaggerating. As for the specific changes, we need to investigate further. Luo Tian said cautiously. Then we'll investigate while preparing. Yi Jiuge wasn't worried about this. After fighting with Lu Yunfei and the other evil cultivators, they more or less had some confidence. Currently, goo worms were the biggest weapon against Bloodthirsty sect. Thinking of this, Yi Jiuge turned to Junie Chen and said, you should cultivate more goo worms during this period of time in case of emergencies. Do you think goo worms are cabbages that you can cultivate whenever you want? You need to have the capital first. Junie Chen rolled his eyes. He wanted to ask for spirit beast pills but was stopped by Yi Jiuge. It's fine if you don't want to cultivate them. Then you can go take revenge yourself. Junie Chen's words were immediately stifled. He glared at Yi Jiuge hatefully. Luo Tian quickly smoothed things over. Eldest miss, don't worry. Young master knows what he's doing. He has been cultivating goo worms during this period of time. He's already harvested a batch. That's good. Yi Jiuge was still very confident in Luo Tian. Seeing that it was getting late, she stood up and said, if there's nothing else, let's disperse. Then I'll leave first. Yi Yu was in a hurry to gather information about the Spiritualist Alliance. Luo Tian and Junie Chen also left. Their tasks were more important. Cultivating goo worms wasn't that easy. After Yi Jiuge sent them off, she went to the alchemy room to prepare to refine pills. She had just taken out the herbs to refine spirit beast pills when she suddenly heard Zishang say, there's something wrong with that kid, Junie Chen. What's wrong? Yi Jiuge stopped what she was doing and looked up at Zishang. Junie Chen's cultivation of the human goo art is very dangerous. First, he places a part of his soul on the natal goo. During the process of the natal goo cultivating into a human form, the two will constantly be in contact. Although his cultivation increased after absorbing the bloodthirsty ancestor's blood essence, there's a problem with the compatibility. Don't you think he's too lively? Zishang asked. Now that you mention it, it's a little true. Yi Jiuge originally thought that Junie Chen had an outburst of a child's nature. She didn't expect that it was actually qi deviation. She immediately asked anxiously, then what should we do now? Junie Chen was their secret weapon against the bloodthirsty ancestor. If anything went wrong, it would be troublesome. This is his cultivation. He can only endure it by himself, Zishang said indifferently. He had already done his best to remind Junie Chen. As for helping, he wasn't that kind. He's still so young. How can he endure it? Yi Jiuge frowned worriedly. No matter how Junie Chen pretended to be mature, he was still just an 11-year-old child. Yi Jiuge didn't think that he could endure it. Don't make dirty jokes. Zishang's face was stern. Damn you. What kind of situation is this? You're still making such boring jokes. Dirty jokes? She was even talking dirty jokes. Chapter 222. Zishang saw that Yi Jiuge was about to turn hostile, so he cleverly changed the topic. If you really want to help him, why don't you try using the white bone flame to refine spirit beast pills? Are you kidding me? The white bone flame is ghost fire and can only be used to refine yin pills. I don't want those goo insects to become ghost insects. Yi Jiuge felt that Zishang was clearly causing trouble. These goo insects aren't spirit beasts. Maybe it's better to eat yin pills. Also, your bronze cauldron is different from other cauldrons. It can refine all kinds of heaven and earth elemental energy. Maybe it can refine some special pills. Why don't you give it a try? Zishang didn't look like he was joking. Yi Jiuge pondered for a moment and felt that Zishang's words made sense. Refining goo insects was originally a sinister technique. Maybe yin pills were more suitable. Let's try refining a few first. As a pill refiner, Yi Jiuge didn't lack the fearless spirit to try. Other than the white bone flame, she also wanted to improve the spirit beast pill formula. Although the previous spirit beast pill contained a good amount of spiritual energy, it was very bitter and was comparable to poison. Yi Jiuge had eaten one before and the nauseating feeling greatly reduced the absorption effect. She had always wanted to improve this point and did a lot of research. She already had a plan in mind and could test it today. Yi Jiuge wanted to add vermilion fruit and nepenthes to the original spirit beast pill formula. The vermilion fruit tasted very sweet after refining and was a child's favorite. When she refined the Peiyuan pill for Yu Rui, she specially spared some. It tasted very good and Yu Rui ate it happily. Later, she accidentally discovered that if a certain proportion of nepenthes was added to the vermilion fruit, the taste would become even more delicious and sweet. Yi Jiuge took out the small bronze cauldron. Ever since the fat black rat fell asleep, the small bronze cauldron had changed a lot. After injecting spiritual energy, it was half the height of a person. Not only could it contain more herbs, but the refining speed was also faster and the success rate was much higher. In the past, one furnace could only produce 20 spirit beast pills, but now it could produce 200. It was because of this magical tool that she dared to agree to Junie Chen's request. Otherwise, just refining spirit beast pills would exhaust her to death. Yi Jiuge put the ingredients into the small bronze cauldron and summoned the white bone flame to start refining. Although the soybean-sized white bone flame looked very small under the huge bronze cauldron, the power it could unleash was very strong. The herbs in the bronze cauldron quickly melted and turned into a black liquid. Seeing that it was about time, Yi Jiuge threw the vermilion fruit and nepenthes grass into the small bronze cauldron according to the ratio of 1 to 5. The vermilion fruit and forget worries grass turned into a dark red liquid, perfectly fusing with the solution of the spirit beast pill, finally turning into red bean-sized pills. Yi Jiuge made a hand seal to open the cauldron, and a refreshing fragrance assailed his nostrils. The green cauldron was filled with pills, and the color was as alluring as cherries. Why does this pill look like a candy? Zishang raised his eyebrows. This is exactly what I want. Yi Jiuge said as he took out a pill and threw it into his mouth. He discovered that the spirit energy contained in this batch of spirit beast pills was even purer than before, without a trace of ghost chi or yin energy. What's going on? Yi Jiuge was shocked. Could it be that this small bronze cauldron was so magical that it could even turn ghost chi into spirit energy? All things return to one. Ghost chi is also a type of heaven-earth yuan chi. If you use the white bone flame to refine pills, it will actually stimulate the pure spirit energy contained in the herbs. Zishang's head rested on top of Yi Jiuge's head as he looked at the cauldron of spirit beast pills. For some reason he felt that he was starting to salivate. That makes sense. Yi Jiuge thoughtfully nodded her head. She picked up a spirit beast pill and was about to carefully feel it, but Zishang snatched it away and threw it into his mouth. If you want to eat, can't you take it yourself? Yi Jiuge harshly condemned Zishang's action of snatching food. It's more delicious to snatch it, do you want a bite? Zishang held a spirit beast pill in his mouth and moved closer to Yi Jiuge's mouth. Disgusting. Yi Jiuge pushed Zishang's head away. She did not want to eat this evildoer's saliva. Zishang pressed the back of Yi Jiuge's head and forcefully invaded. He tyrannically pushed the pill into Yi Jiuge's mouth and tangled with her. This was a very, very sweet kiss. Especially after the spirit beast pill melted, it gathered into a dense spiritual energy that flowed down Yi Jiuge's throat and into her stomach. It was warm and comfortable. Her entire body relaxed, her mood was calm and satisfied. She was even somewhat reluctant to end this kiss. In the end, Zishang took the initiative to stop. He did not tease Yi Jiuge like he usually did. Instead, he turned around and announced to the small bronze cauldron in a domineering manner. This cauldron of pills belongs to this sovereign. With that said, his sleeves grabbed towards the large bronze cauldron. A cauldron of 200 spirit beast pills flew into his sleeves in a line and disappeared. You took it away just because you said so. Did you even ask for my opinion? Yijioga was unconvinced. She would not admit that she was venting her anger on Zishang, this guy who ran away after kissing her. Do you need this sovereign to emphasize again who you belong to? Zishang blinked his peach blossom eyes as if saying, if you don't understand, this sovereign is more than happy to prove it to you. No need. Yijioga glared at Zishang. She was very clear about the fact that she had long sold herself to Zishang. This pill is not bad, it's just that the name is too unpleasant. Zishang threw a pill into his mouth and said unhappily, calling it spirit beast pill is too insulting to this sovereign's demonic character. At the very least, it should be changed to something like limitless pill, overlord pill or something like that. Forget it, I'm still counting on this pill to earn money. How would Yijioga dare to come up with such an annoying name? Most importantly, heavenly spirit pill, overlord pill, and whatnot did not match the characteristics of this pill. Then let's call it heavenly dragon pill. Zishang decided. Heavenly dragon your sister. Yijioga rolled her eyes at Zishang. After thinking for a moment she said, then let's call it cherry pill. These pills looked like small cherries and were worthy of the name cherry pill. Furthermore, she had eaten one just now and realized that it had the same effect of replenishing spiritual energy for humans, so there was no need to stick to the name spirit beast pill. Alright. Zishang reluctantly agreed and then threw another pill into his mouth and ate it with relish. Yijioga could not help but raise her eyebrows. She did not expect that Zishang was such a demonic person who loved to eat candy. Perhaps in the future she could use this point to make an issue out of it, such as threats and temptations. Yijioga thought about all sorts of things in her heart, but her hands did not stop moving. Very quickly she refined a new batch of spirit beast pills. This time she did not wait for Zishang to snatch them, and quickly kept the spirit beast pills. Then she began to carefully study the characteristics of this new pill. When she ate the first pill, she only felt that it was filled with spiritual energy. When she ate the second pill, she was disturbed by Zishang, and that feeling of ecstasy was too subjective. When she ate the third pill, Yijioga finally realized that the characteristics of this new pill was actually to calm the mind. Chapter 223. Yijioga looked at the cherry pill in disbelief. She ate 3 more in a row to confirm that the pill really had the effect of calming the nerves and gathering qi. Calming the nerves and gathering qi sounded simple, but it was a requirement that many spiritualists could not achieve. When a spiritualist advanced, they would either advance or fall back. The process was very dangerous and very few could maintain a calm mind. Spiritualists who could afford it would buy some calming pills when they advanced. However, better calming pills required a lot of high-rank spirit herbs, and the refining process was very difficult, causing the price to be very high. There were very few spiritualists who could afford it. However, this cherry pill actually had the effect of calming the nerves and gathering qi. It was a little weak, but there was a lot of it. The materials to refine this batch of cherry pill were much cheaper than a calming pill. Refine it well and you'll have a bright future. Zishang had to admit that Yijioga was very talented in alchemy. The cherry pill had spiritual power and could calm the nerves. It was good for him, let alone ordinary people and spirit beasts. Of course, the delicacy was also an indispensable factor. Do you think this cherry pill's effect of calming the nerves and gathering qi can help Juni-chen get through the break-in period? Yijioga was still worried about Juni-chen. Yes. Zishang nodded. Then let's go find him. Yijioga made a prompt decision, took the pills and left. Zishang naturally followed her. Juni-chen was still living in the place where he was originally arranged to raise the poisonous earth dragon Gu. Luo Tian also stayed with him. The sun was high up in the sky, and the blazing sunlight shone on the ground. The courtyard was quiet, and only the sound of the poisonous dragons gnawing on their food could be heard. The spacious courtyard was filled with dustpans, which were filled with poisonous earth dragons that had advanced for the second time. The poisonous earth dragon, which used to be white and chubby, was now a bit more intelligent, and it ate the black fly grass ferociously. Yijioga and Zishang walked into the courtyard and were about to call someone. Suddenly they heard a child's sharp laughter from inside the house. It was obviously Juni-chen's voice. What's going on? Yijioga was shocked and walked into the house. Deep inside the dilapidated house, it was gloomy and dark. With his back facing the door, Juni-chen squatted on the ground and kept drawing circles. From time to time he would let out a strange and shrill laugh. The whole scene was indescribably strange. Luo Tian was lying in the doorway with a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. His chest was not moving at all, as if he was already dead. Luo Tian. Yi Jiuge's eyes narrowed. Just as he was about to rush in to check on Luo Tian, he was stopped by Zishang. Something's not right. Zishang frowned and a solemn expression appeared on his handsome face. Isn't that obvious? Yi Jiuge was anxious. How was this not right? This was simply eerie and terrifying. Zishang ignored Yi Jiuge and flicked his finger at Junichen. Before the black spirit force could even touch Junichen, it was repelled by an invisible force. Then Junichen's figure suddenly disappeared. In the next moment he actually pounced towards Yi Jiuge like a ghost. Yi Jiuge reacted very quickly, and a purple spirit light barrier appeared around him. Boom! The spiritual light barrier shattered into countless rays of light. Sharp nails appeared on Junichen's small hands. After breaking the spiritual light barrier, he directly stabbed towards Yi Jiuge's chest. Yi Jiuge's breath stagnated. She never thought that Junichen would kill her, but it was a bit too late to make a move now. Fortunately, Zishang was by her side to protect her. His well-defined palm pushed outwards, and the black and purple spirit force turned into a shield that blocked Junichen's attack. After Junichen failed, he immediately retreated and wanted to escape. Zishang lightly clenched his fist, and the black and purple shield suddenly exploded, turning into a giant net that enveloped Junichen. Ow, ow. Junichen let out a beast-like howl and kept struggling in the giant net. Yi Jiuge calmed down and looked carefully. Only then did he realize that Junichen's eyes were blood red, and his small face was very frightening. The strangest thing was that between his eyebrows, there was actually a blood pouch the size of a thumb that looked like a heart. He's being controlled by the bloodthirsty ancestor. Zishang immediately understood when he saw Junichen's eyebrows. The bloodthirsty ancestor was indeed shrewd and ruthless. He actually hid a move in that drop of blood essence. Junichen seemed to have successfully refined the bloodthirsty ancestor's blood essence, but in his weakened state, he was fiercely attacked by the bloodthirsty ancestor, which was why he suddenly lost his mind and attacked Yi Jiuge. Yi Jiuge opened his spiritual eye and looked carefully at the blood pouch. He realized that it extended out many thin blood lines that enveloped Junichen's head, and the only weak point was at the Dazui acupuncture point. Yi Jiuge decisively took out the lightning fire needle, and after injecting spiritual energy, he pierced it towards Junichen's Dazui acupuncture point. The blood pouch was blocked, and the blood in Junichen's eyes faded, and his body immediately went limp. Yi Jiuge did not go up to look at him, but hurriedly went to check on Luo Tian. Luckily, Luo Tian was only seriously injured and unconscious, and his life was not in danger. Otherwise, if Junichen woke up and realized that he had killed Luo Tian, he would probably immediately collapse. Gee! An even weaker sound came from Luo Tian's neck. Yi Jiuge took a look and saw that half of Xiao Hong's body was broken, and it was on the verge of death, but it was still continuously shouting, "Save my master! Your master is fine and you will be fine too." As Yi Jiuge said that, he crushed a cherry and sprinkled it on Xiao Hong's broken body. Goo worms did not need to be consumed orally, and it had the same effect when used externally. Xiao Hong, who was about to lose consciousness from the pain, smelled a sweet smell, and it quickly fell into a blissful sleep. Yi Jiuge also stuffed a few cultivation recovery pills into Luo Tian's mouth, and then went to check on Junichen. Junichen's body was curled up on the ground, and there was a blood-red bulge on his forehead, as if he had grown a horn. The veins at the corner of his eyes were exposed, and his entire face was extremely terrifying. Even the lightning fire needle that was pierced into his Dazui acupuncture point seemed to be unable to suppress it anymore. In this situation, the only way was to extract the drop of blood essence that belonged to the bloodthirsty ancestor. However, this drop of blood essence was extremely cunning, and it would probably escape once it was extracted. Can you seal the drop of blood essence from the bloodthirsty ancestor? Yi Jiuge asked Zishang. No, I can only destroy it. Zishang shook his head. He was only good at destruction, not sealing. Destroying it would be a pity. Yi Jiuge was a little hesitant, and decided to wake Junichen up first. The lightning fire needle controlled the situation at the Dazui acupuncture point, and Yi Jiuge took out another 49 golden needles and inserted them into Junichen's body, completely suppressing the drop of blood essence from the bloodthirsty ancestor. The blood bump on Junichen's forehead slowly softened as if it had disappeared. Then he slowly opened his eyes and looked at Yi Jiuge and Zishang blankly at first. Then he seemed to react and quickly turned to look at the place where Luo Tian had fallen. He's fine, but you almost lost your life. Yi Jioga's tone was a little unfriendly. If this little guy had asked her for help earlier, he would not have fallen into such a dangerous situation today. Chapter 224. I didn't think the bloodthirsty ancestor would have such a trick up his sleeve. Junichen returned to his expressionless face. Then what do you plan to do? It's dangerous to keep this drop of blood. You might die. Yi Jioga felt that if he didn't exaggerate the truth, this brat wouldn't know how to write the word fear. Refine it. Junichen was resolute without hesitation. He shouldered the blood feud of his clansmen. He had to become stronger at all cost. Even if it was a narrow escape, he had to charge forward. Yi Jioga saw him like this and couldn't say anything else to persuade him. She looked at Zishang for help and asked, "Is there any way to help him? This is a battle between him and the bloodthirsty ancestor." Zishang's expression was indifferent. If he couldn't even refine this drop of blood, how could he talk about revenge? That's right. This is my hurdle. I can overcome it myself. Junichen stood up and pulled the thunderfire needle from behind his neck. The other golden needles fell to the ground. Yi Jioga made a hand seal and took back the thunderfire needles and golden needles. Then he took out the cherry pill that he had just refined and said to Junichen, "This is my new spirit beast pill. I hope it can help you." "Why is it red?" Junichen opened the bottle and looked at Yi Jioga in confusion. "This is a modified formula. I guarantee you'll be satisfied." Yi Jioga didn't explain. Only those who had tasted it would know. Junichen ate one doubtfully. Then, his eyes widened in disbelief. "See, it calms the nerves and gathers qi." Yi Jioga was slightly proud. It seemed that Junichen knew his stuff. Junichen didn't hear what Yi Jioga said. He poured a bottle into his mouth and swallowed it without chewing. The drop of blood also felt something was wrong. It split into two and turned into two blood-red tentacles that emerged from Junichen's forehead. Junichen sat down cross-legged. His abdomen began to bulge. A golden-red light shot out from his abdomen and headed straight for the two blood-red tentacles. The two blood-red antennae shrank back and split into two as they began to flee in different directions. The golden-red light chased after the one on the left and swallowed it in no time. The blood-red tentacle on the right suddenly burst forth, breaking through the skin on Junichen's neck and flying out. Junichen calmly opened his mouth, and the golden natal goo flew out aggressively. It opened its mouth wide and swallowed the escaping blood essence in one gulp. Junichen's vital goo had already undergone a huge transformation. His head had completely evolved into a human head, and his face, which resembled Junichen's, was filled with a triumphant expression. Apart from its head, it had even evolved to have two thin arms, and below that was its insect body. It flew back to Junichen's head and laid there shouting, "Do you have any more of those cherry pills? Give me another stack." Junichen silently raised his hand and poured two cherry pills into his mouth. The natal goo screeched and turned into a beam of golden light, entering Junichen's mouth. "Did you succeed?" Yi Jioga asked. Junichen nodded silently, then took out a red cloth bag from his bosom and threw it towards Yi Jioga. He was actually extremely grateful for Yi Jioga's help, but his awkward personality prevented him from saying any words of thanks, so he could only express it with his actions. Zishang grabbed the cloth bag and opened it. It turned out to be half a treasure map. "Brat, at least you know what's good for you." Yi Jioga unceremoniously put away the treasure map. "I still need to consolidate my cultivation. I'll leave Luo Tian to you." Junichen was even more impolite than Yi Jioga. After throwing Luo Tian to Yi Jioga, he prepared to return to his room to continue cultivating. "Wait, have you finished helping me with Dongfang K's matter?" Yi Jioga called out to him. "Dongfang K's poison has been completely removed," Junichen said without turning his head, then entered the room and closed the door. Yi Jioga couldn't just leave him like that, so he could only helplessly stand guard at the door. "Sit here." Zishang waved his hand and two chairs appeared in front of them. Yi Jioga and Zishang sat side by side, then asked, "What do you think Bloodthirsty Ancestor will do after he receives the news that we're going to attack Blood Cloud Peak with great fanfare?" Zishang pondered for a moment, then said, "He'll probably think about how to use this opportunity to eat more people. He's treating us like vegetables." Yi Jioga didn't believe that Bloodthirsty Ancestor was that strong. If he was really that strong, he would have ascended to the heavens long ago. Why would he stay in Blood Cloud Peak? "If it's me, that's what I'll do," Zishang said matter-of-factly. I'm not asking you, I'm asking bloodthirsty ancestor. Yi Jiogo was speechless. I'm not bloodthirsty ancestor. If you want to know, go ask him yourself. Zishang refused to answer Yi Jioga's stupid question. Blood Cloud Peak Blood Pool. Bloodthirsty ancestor was currently cultivating in the large blood pool in the center. Lu Yunfei and Old Man Su's bodies were soaking in two small blood pools beside him. At this time, more than half of their bodies had dissolved, leaving only two heads floating above the blood pool. The scene was extremely terrifying. Soon, the two heads dissolved as well, turning into two extremely thick bloody lights that gathered at the center of bloodthirsty ancestor's body. These two bloody lights were the most critical moment of his cultivation method. Bloodthirsty ancestor calmed his mind and prepared to fuse with them. However, at this moment, his heart suddenly shrank and the meridians in his body froze. As soon as the two bloody lights entered, the rest immediately disappeared. Damn it. Bloodthirsty ancestor's cultivation failed, so he went crazy with anger. The blood pool bubbled like boiling water. He had never thought that at the critical moment of his cultivation, that drop of lifeblood essence would be completely absorbed by someone else. Even the contingency he had left behind was eliminated. Skinny Monkey was guarding outside. Hearing the ancestor's rage inside, he was shocked. He had been guarding bloodthirsty ancestor for so many years, but he had never seen the old man make a mistake during his cultivation. Ancestor, what's wrong? Skinny Monkey didn't dare to rush in, so he could only shout anxiously from outside. I'm fine. Bloodthirsty ancestor's chest throbbed violently, but he quickly suppressed this emotion. Bloodthirsty sect wasn't a solid piece of iron. His disciples were all jackals and wolves. He couldn't afford to make any mistakes. He couldn't let them know that he had made a mistake during his cultivation. Bloodthirsty ancestor couldn't help but think of the plan he had been planning for a long time. He thought that if he sent Lu Yunfei and Xiong Yunhu out, he would definitely be able to get Dongfang Yao back for him to use as a blood guide. He didn't think that his plan would fail miserably and cause him to lose a lifeblood essence. Although Su Junqing had brought Lu Yunfei and his grandfathers, it couldn't make up for his loss. Chapter 225. If Ancestor Bloodthirsty wasn't worried that killing Su Junqing would affect the morale of his disciples, he would have killed the kid to train as well. However, it was a critical time to fight against the spiritualists. He not only had to keep the kid under control, but he also had to give him some rewards to let his subordinates know that as long as they worked well for him, there would be many benefits. Ancestor Bloodthirsty quickly made up his mind. He stood up and left the blood pond, calling for Skinny Monkey. Ancestor, what are your orders? Skinny Monkey bowed and asked politely. Su Junqing did a good job this time. Bring out blood slave number 13 and give it to him. Ancestor Bloodthirsty took out a red flower-shaped seal and threw it to Skinny Monkey. Skinny Monkey's heart jumped when he caught the seal. Blood slave number 13 was Yi Yunji. Su Junqing had sent Yi Yunji to the ancestor to please him. Now the ancestor gave Yi Yunji to Su Junqing. What did he mean? What? Is there a problem? The ancestor looked at the silent Skinny Monkey with a trace of doubt in his voice. Skinny Monkey immediately came back to his senses and said, I just can't remember who blood slave number 13 is. The one with the red mole between her eyebrows. Ancestor Bloodthirsty remembered clearly. Oh, it's her. Skinny Monkey suddenly understood and then showed a wretched and regretful expression. My brothers thought that the blood slave would definitely go to the blood cave. I'm going to be disappointed. What's there to be disappointed about? Send my message. After we resist the Spiritualist Alliance's attack, they can use my blood slaves as they wish, Ancestor Bloodthirsty said generously. Thank you, Ancestor. Skinny Monkey was overjoyed and immediately flattered him again. Old Ancestor is mighty. With you here, we will definitely defeat those rookies from the Spiritualist Alliance and give our blood-sucking sect more blood resources. Alright, stop flattering me. Go and do your work. Ancestor Bloodthirsty waved his hand impatiently. Yes, yes, yes. Skinny Monkey immediately bowed and left. He didn't dare to delay and immediately took the seal to the 100-Flower Palace. Yi Yunji was secretly cultivating. Hearing Skinny Monkey call for her, her heart jumped. Ancestor Bloodthirsty should be cultivating right now. He shouldn't be looking for a blood slave to serve him. Did something happen? She was anxious and her face showed a bit of worry. Seeing Skinny Monkey, she asked nervously, Brother Skinny Monkey, what happened? The old ancestor wants to give you to Su Junqing, the Skinny Monkey said in a deep voice. To who? Yi Yunji thought she had heard him wrong. Su Junqing. Skinny Monkey-like emphasized. Why is he here? Yi Yunji felt a chill rising from the soles of her feet, making her whole body feel cold. But at the same time, a ball of fire was lit in her heart, burning her to the point that she had to breathe heavily to avoid suffocating to death. Skinny Monkey Man knew the grudge between Yi Yunji and Su Junqing. He could understand her pain, so he told him how Su Junqing had brought his grandfather to bloodthirsty progenitor. To even his own grandpa Su. Crazy as, Skinny God Skinny Yi sighed. Although he wasn't a good person and had harmed many people for the sake of cultivation, at least he wouldn't do anything to his family. He would also do his best to protect the people he wanted to protect. Su Junqing, Yi Yunji murmured. She wanted to bite the name and swallow it with her blood. Su Junqing, Yi Yunji muttered to herself. It was as if she wanted to crush the name and swallow it with her blood. Su Junqing, Yi Yunji murmured. She seemed to want to bite the name and swallow it with her blood. Don't do anything stupid. Skinny Monkey was worried that Yi Yunji would do something wrong. You don't have to worry too much. You are a gift from the patriarch. Su Junqing would never dare to kill you, Skinny Monkey said softly. I would rather he killed me. Yi Yunji's voice sounded like she was weeping blood. Tears flowed down her fair and beautiful face. Her tears were sincere, but most of them were for Skinny Monkey. The skinny monkey-like man was distressed. He quickly comforted Yi Yunji. I know you're upset. But don't worry, Su Junqing won't live for long. After we defeat the Spiritualist Alliance, the Ancestor will not spare him. Skinny Monkey had served Ancestor Bloodthirsty for many years. He knew what Ancestor Bloodthirsty was thinking. He knew that Ancestor Bloodthirsty would not tolerate a failure like Su Junqing. I hope I can live until then. Yi Yunji wiped her tears and took out something from her pouch. She gave it to Skinny Monkey and said, Brother Skinny Monkey, thank you for taking care of me. I don't have anything to thank you, so take this as a memento. Skinny Monkey took it and saw that it was a small wooden carving. The carving was of a lively monkey. I will save you from here. Skinny Monkey held the monkey carving in his hand and said to Yi Yunji as if he was making a vow. Yi Yunji just smiled. There was a bit of helplessness and a bit of gratitude in her eyes. Let's go. Skinny Monkey suppressed his excitement and walked toward Su Junqing's room. Yi Yunji followed him silently. Soon, the two of them arrived in front of a dilapidated room. They knocked on the wooden door above. Who is it? Su Junqing's voice came. Brother Su, it's me, Skinny Monkey. Skinny Monkey's attitude was familiar and his voice was normal. Su Junqing hurried to open the door and greeted him enthusiastically. Oh, it's Brother Skinny Monkey. What brings you here? Then he glanced behind Skinny Monkey and saw a blood slave with a slender body. Her head was lowered and her long black hair hung on both sides. He couldn't see her face clearly. This blood slave number 13 is a gift from Ancestor Bloodthirsty. Skinny Monkey took out the red seal Ancestor Bloodthirsty had given him and pretended to be envious. Kid, you're the favorite of Ancestor Bloodthirsty. When you get rich, don't forget to mention your brother. Don't say that, Brother Skinny Monkey. I need to rely on you in the future, Su Junqing said modestly. Alright, don't stand on ceremony with me. Take this seal, drip a drop of blood on it and then stamp it on this blood slave's body. She's yours now. This is a reward from the Ancestor himself. You better enjoy it, kid. Skinny Monkey suppressed his heartache and pretended to be happy. He handed the seal to Su Junqing and said goodbye to him after a round of flattery. Take care, Brother Skinny Monkey. After Su Junqing saw Skinny Monkey off, he took the red seal and looked at the blood slave the Ancestor Bloodthirsty had given him. Although he couldn't see her face because her head was lowered, he could see that her body wasn't bad. Moreover, she was full of blood and flesh. Su Junqing knew that Ancestor Bloodthirsty only sucked blood and never had sex. These blood slaves were still very clean. Raise your head. Let me look at you. Su Junqing's voice was gentle like a lover's murmur. Chapter 226. Su Junqing had his own plans. This blood slave had served the bloodthirsty progenitor for a long time, so she should know something. He had just arrived at Blood Cloud Peak and needed someone to provide information. This blood slave was a good choice. The blood slave slowly raised her head. Her cloud-like hair fluttered along with her movements and fell on her cheeks, revealing a beautiful face. The red mole between her eyebrows was as dazzling as cinnabar under the candlelight. Yun Yunji. Su Junqing's eyes widened as he looked at Yi Yunji in disbelief. Why wasn't she dead yet? Sir Su, long time no see. Yi Yunji's resentful voice sounded in the room as if it was calling from hell. Yunji, are you alright? Su Junqing reacted quickly and showed a complicated expression of awkwardness, melancholy, worry, guilt, and other emotions. Thanks to Sir Su, I'm still alive, Yi Yunji said word by word. I know you must be blaming me. Su Junqing heaved a long sigh, but he was desperately trying to think of an excuse to fool Yi Yunji. He really didn't think that Yi Yunji was still alive and that the bloodthirsty progenitor had given her to him. Could it be that the old ancestor was warning him? You destroyed me and my family. Shouldn't I blame you? Yi Yunji's eyes burned with deep hatred. If it weren't for the fact that the spirit energy she had was not Su Junqing's match, she really wanted to rush up and die with him. Yunji, I know you hate me, but I have my own difficulties. Su Junqing wanted to say something but stopped. He sighed painfully and said helplessly, You've been in bloodthirsty sect for a long time, so you should understand my situation. I'm just a dog in bloodthirsty sect. I have to obey the progenitor's orders. You mean that the progenitor forced you to do all those dirty things? Yi Yunji sneered. The progenitor wants the treasure map. Your Yi family is guilty of possessing it. If it were someone else in bloodthirsty sect, your entire family would be captured and used as fertilizer. You wouldn't be able to escape. Su Junqing's words were very skillful. He did not try to absolve himself, but this comparison showed that he had been lenient towards the Yi family. At least she and Yi were still alive. In that case I should thank you. Yi Yunji was no longer the innocent girl from before. Of course she wouldn't believe Su Junqing's nonsense. I know you resent me and I have nothing to say. Since old ancestor has returned you to me, I will definitely treat you well in the future and make up for my mistakes. Su Junqing's handsome face was filled with gentleness and determination to make up for his mistakes. Aha, do you really think that ancestor gave me to you to reward you? Yi Yunji laughed sarcastically, then said with a malicious tone, Actually, he just wants to stabilize the morale of the army. After this incident, you will die without a doubt. Su Junqing's pupils shrank as he asked, What do you mean? You know forefather Bloodthirsty's temper very well. He doesn't accept losers. Yi Yunji looked at Su Junqing's pale face and felt really good. The failure of the Alchemy City plan has nothing to do with me. It's all because Yi Jioge is too cunning. For the forefather's grand plan, I even offered my own grandfather to him. Su Junqing angrily said. What's the point of saying that to me? I'm not the forefather. Yi Yunji leisurely said. Su Junqing's face was ashen. He knew that Yi Yunji was telling the truth. The forefather was an eccentric person and hated losers the most. Especially since the Alchemy City plan was related to his advancement, he couldn't afford to make any mistakes. Lu Yunfei and Xiong Yunhu were both dead, and he was the only one left alive. Su Junqing originally wanted to take Lu Yunfei's corpse and escape, but his bewitching art had reached a critical point. He had to come back for the next merit law. After thinking about it, Su Junqing finally came up with a way to use the old man as an apology. The bloodthirsty ancestor praised him for his filial piety. Although the forefather didn't punish him for his negligence, he didn't give him the bewitching art either. Su Junqing already had a bad feeling in his heart, but Yi Yunji's words frightened him even more. Yunji, you have to help me this time. Su Junqing pinched Yi Yunji's shoulder, his eyes flashing red. This was the sign of the bewitching art activating. Yi Yunji stared into Su Junqing's eyes and began to feel dizzy. This familiar feeling immediately told her that Su Junqing was using the bewitching art on her again. The bewitching art had a lot to do with the fact that she was so hell-bent on following this heartless man. She had been thinking about revenge day and night, so how could she not be on guard against Su Junqing's move? Yi Yunji clenched her fists hidden in her sleeves. Her red fingernails smeared with heart-devouring powder pierced her palm. The unique pain of the heart-devouring powder immediately pulled her back to reality. Yi Yunji was clear-headed, but she still had a confused expression on her face. She answered Su Junqing's question in a daze. The forefather's cultivation failed. The blood lotus is about to mature, the spiritualist alliance is waiting for an opportunity, and the bloodthirsty sect is wavering. Su Junqing listened to the good news coming out of Yi Yunji's mouth, and his face revealed a crazy expression. In this way, not only could he take advantage of the alliance's attack on the bloodthirsty sect to get the complete bewitching art, but he could also get more benefits. Furthermore, he could obtain more benefits such as the precious blood lotus flower. Yi Yunji looked at Su Junqing's undisguised greed with hazy eyes, and her red lips curved imperceptibly. Su Junqing, I will definitely return the pain I've suffered to you 1,000 times over. Blood Cloud Peak was surging, but Shangjing was very calm. After Yi Jiuge finished protecting Junie Chen, he left a bottle of essence-cultivating pills and cherry pills for the awakened Luo Tian, and then returned with Zishang. As soon as he entered the gate, he heard buzzing sounds. A black and mighty fat insect flapped its wings and flew towards Yi Jiuge, and complained discontentedly, "Where have you been? Master and I have been waiting for you for a long time." The feeling of being questioned by a goo insect was too fresh, so Yi Jiuge replied very seriously, "I went to see Junie Chen, he had some problems with his cultivation." Black Overlord obviously did not care about the goo father that raised him, and instead surrounded Yi Jiuge and shouted, "Where is my master's reward? Quickly give it to me." Since when could goo insects help their master get rewarded? Yi Jiuge felt that these goo insects were becoming more and more temperamental. In order to encourage them to continue, she simply gave Yi Yu's reward to Black Overlord. "This is the newly refined Spirit Beast Pill, Cherry Pill." Yi Jiuge took out a bottle of Cherry Pill. Black Overlord's small eyes shone with excitement, and immediately rushed up to hug the jade bottle that was even bigger than him, and then turned into a black light and disappeared. Chapter 227. As soon as Black Lord left, Yi Yu rushed out and asked anxiously, "Where's my Black Lord?" "He flew away with your reward." Yi Jiuge pointed in the direction where Black Lord had disappeared. "That stupid goo got ahead of me again." Yi Yu was so angry that his face turned black. That Black Lord had no control over himself. Every time there was something delicious he would eat until he died. He could finish a bottle of Spirit Beast pills in 15 minutes. He was a typical Sunlight Clan member. When there was nothing left, he was jealous of Little Red and the others and pestered Yi Yu every day to buy more. "How annoying." Cough cough. "Do you want to get it back?" Yi Jiuge asked irresponsibly. "It's useless now. Let's talk about business first." Yi Yu sighed. With that big mouth of the Black Tyrant, it was likely that even the bottle had been swallowed by now, so what was the point of looking for it? "What's the matter?" Yi Jiuge cooperatively changed the topic. The Spiritualist Alliance is in a heated argument because of Grandmaster Dongfang's master-building pill. Many sects are trying to squeeze more people into their ranks. Right now it's very noisy. I don't know when it will be settled. If we wait for them, I'm afraid we'll have to wait for a very long time. "Are you sure about the leader?" Yi Jiuge asked. "Yes, Gong Shifan is leading the team," Yi Yu said confidently. "It's him." Yi Jiuge thought of the handsome uncle who had helped her out. He was not a simple character. If he was leading the team, the Spiritualist Alliance would not be able to make a fuss for long. "Gong Shifan?" Zishang suddenly said coldly. Obviously, he remembered that it was the person who had helped Yi Jiuge when he was asleep. "Ask Dongfang Yao to pressure the Spiritualist Alliance. If they can't decide on the team in 10 days, we won't wait." Zishang looked at Yi Yu and ordered, "Can we not wait?" Yi Jiuge doubted that they could even fill the gap between the bloodthirsty ancestor's teeth. The bloodthirsty ancestor is prepared. The Spiritualist Alliance is still arguing. We must give them some pressure. Zishang's words were well-founded. Yi Jiuge thought it was a good idea, so he said to Yi Yu, "Do as he said." "Yes." Yi Yu was about to leave. Yi Jiuge suddenly remembered something and hurriedly stopped him. "Wait, let me draw some blood first." "Blood?" Yi Yu was stunned. He didn't understand what Yi Jiuge wanted to do with his blood. "With your current cultivation, it's still dangerous to go to Blood Cloud Mountain. I plan to help you refine some secret pellets that can increase your cultivation in a short time." Yi Jiuge had gotten this idea from Bloodthirsty Forefather. His blood beads could stimulate the fighting strength of Xiong Yunhu and the others. In that case, she could use the same principle to refine a few pills for Yi Yu in case he needed them. This way he wouldn't be fooled by Lu Yunfei like he was in Alchemy City. All right. With such a life-saving method, Yi Yu was naturally happy. He extended his hand without hesitation. Yi Jiuge took out the sterilized blood vessel and started to bleed Yi Yu. "Young miss, if you refine pills for us every day, will it affect your cultivation?" Yi Yu asked carefully. This question had always been in his heart. Other alchemists and spiritualists cultivated in seclusion, constantly improving their pill refinement and cultivation. Very few of them were distracted. However, young Miss did many things personally and often fought with them on the front lines. How would she have time to cultivate like this? "You don't need to worry about this. I know what I'm doing." Yi Jiuge couldn't tell Yi Yu that it wasn't that she didn't want to cultivate. It was because she was poisoned by the 9-layer bone shatterer. Cultivating too much would easily cause her dantian to explode. At that time she wouldn't even know how she died. Speaking of which, when she went to find Yi Yuxuan last time, she actually forgot whether he was the one who poisoned her. To be honest, Yi Jiuge didn't think it was Yi Yuxuan. At that time she was so young. If Yi Yuxuan wanted to kill her, it would be as easy as flipping his palm. He didn't need to use such a high-end and special poison. However, she still needed to ask him. Yi Jiuge's mind was full of thoughts, but her hands didn't stop moving. Soon she gave Yi Yu a bottle of blood. Is this enough? Yi Yu couldn't wait for Yi Jiuge to give him more blood so that he could refine more secret pills. Yes. Secret pills were something that could only be used when there was no other choice. How could they be used as food? Yi Yu put down his sleeves, curled his fingers and whistled. Then Black Tyrant flew out of the window with the jade bottle in his arms. His fat belly was so bloated that it was about to droop. Black Tyrant, who had just received his master's reward, perfectly displayed the true essence of the sunlight race. The jade bottle couldn't be any emptier. Let's go. Yi Yu shoved Black Tyrant into his pocket and left with Yi Jiuge. Yi Jiuge put away Yi Yu's blood and told Zishang about the 9-layer bone shatterer. This sovereign has already asked for you. It wasn't your scumbag father who poisoned you. Zishang's answer was completely out of Yi Jiuge's expectations. When did you ask? Yi Jiuge asked in surprise. They were always together, so how could Zishang have the time to ask Yi Yuxuan? Is that important? Zishang raised his eyebrows. Alright, that's not important. Since it wasn't Yi Yuxuan who poisoned me, who else could it be? Yi Jiuge was very confused. I suspect it was your mother, Yin Jiao. Zishang said something shocking again. You're saying it was my mother who poisoned me? Yi Jiuge was about to explode. Could it be that not only did she have a scumbag father, she also had a scumbag mother? I'm guessing that your mother already knew that your scumbag father was harboring evil intentions. That's why she poisoned you with the 9-layer bone shatterer so that you would be able to survive. At that time, if Yi Jiuge was still a talented first wife's daughter, she would most likely have been killed by Yi Yuxuan. Only by being a cripple would she be able to live longer. Only by staying alive would she have a chance to reverse the situation. Yi Jiuge was silent. Although her impression of her mother was already very faint, Mother Qing often said that her mother looked weak on the outside but was decisive on the inside. It was indeed very likely that she would do such a thing. Although you can't cultivate quickly right now, if you completely remove the 9-layer bone shatterer, you will be reborn and become an overlord spirit body. Zishang said. Not only was the overlord spirit body an excellent aptitude for body tempering, it was also extremely good for spiritual energy cultivation. Then how do I completely remove the 9-layer bone shatterer? Yi Jiuge asked anxiously. There was always a ticking time bomb in her dantian, causing her to always feel extremely uneasy. Cultivation is not something that can be rushed. First, open up your meridians. When we dual cultivate, this sovereign will help you force out the second poison. Zishang was not anxious at all. Now that he had successfully transformed, he could always stay by Yi Jiuge's side to protect her, so she could take her time. Chapter 228. You're not in a hurry, but I am. With Zishang's previous unreliable behavior, it would be strange if Yi Jiuge believed him. Don't even think about cultivating it. Use the white bone fire to refine your Thunder Snake illusionary whip. It will also increase your combat power. Zishang's voice was very sincere, but his attitude was very perfunctory. Really? Yi Jiuge took out the Thunder Snake illusionary whip from her waist. After a period of refining, this demonic weapon seemed to be more intelligent. The snake eyes on the handle faintly flashed with light. The snake body kept moving, but it was still a bit away from advancing. If you can get a 4th-rank Dark Soul Grass and refine the Thunder Snake illusionary whip, not only will it advance, it will also gain a Poison Fog skill. Zishang said. There is no Dark Soul Grass on the market in Thunder Country. Where can I find it? Yi Jiuge was depressed. Dark Soul Grass only grew in the nests of poisonous demonic beasts. Now that all the high-level demonic beasts were in the demonic race's territory, it was very difficult to find it. If there is a chance, this sovereign will go back to the demonic race and help you get a stack. But this chance would have to wait for a long time. He could not show himself in the demonic race now. Forget it, I will think of a way. Yi Jiuge shook her head. Zishang complained every day that she did not have enough demonic power. Unless it was absolutely necessary, she could not bear to order him around. Yi Jiuge put away the Thunder Snake illusionary whip and began to organize the pills she needed to refine. Previously, Luo Tian had mentioned to her that Bloodthirsty sect had a mountain protection formation. Not only did it gather all kinds of miasma, poisonous gas and bewitching gas, it also raised a large group of extremely vicious blood mosquitoes. It was very dangerous. Yijioga wanted to refine a high-grade pill that could expel poison and ward off insects. But the 3-star nether grass needed for this pill was not sold in Thunder Country. She was thinking if she should let Yu buy some from other places. Just as Yijioga was organizing things, Mother Qing's voice came from outside. "Eldest miss, the Gong family has come to visit. Do you want to go out and meet them?" "Gong family?" Yijioga put down the brush and looked at Zishang. Zishang looked outside and said lazily, "It's Gong Shifan and Gong Honglei. There are also a few small fries." Why did Gong Shifan come to find me? Yijioga felt strange. She tidied up her appearance and walked out of the house. Zishang naturally stayed by her side. "Wait." Yijioga stopped and said to Zishang, "Observe from the shadows and act according to the situation." Gong Shifan was a spirit master and had seen a lot of things. She was worried that Purple Deceased Sword would expose himself. "All right." Zishang was indifferent to this and he immediately concealed himself. Although Yijioga couldn't see him, he could feel that he was by his side. He immediately calmed down and walked towards the hall. In the main seat of the hall sat a tall and thin man with deep eyes and a temperament like a mountain. His brows were filled with the vicissitudes of life, and his body had a very special attraction. It was Gong Shifan. Beside him was Gong Honglei. Behind them were a man and a woman who were both advanced spiritualists. The man was wearing blue clothes and was about 25 years old. He was quite handsome, but his eyes were a little unfocused. The woman was wearing a light yellow dress and was in her early 20s. She wasn't tall, had high cheekbones, slender eyes and a slightly flat nose. Her looks were very average and even a little ugly. She had a rather high-rank storage bag on her waist, and her ugly face was full of arrogance. Seeing Yijioga come out, the woman suddenly revealed a look of disdain and even let out a cold snort. Although Yijioga felt that it was a little strange, he ignored her and bowed to Gong Shifan. "Jioga greets Master Gong. May I know what instructions Master Gong has for me today?" "I don't dare to give you instructions. I was just passing by and came to visit young Lady Yi." Gong Shifan smiled and pointed at Gong Honglei. "This is my nephew Honglei. I believe young lady recognizes him." "Yes." Yijioga nodded and greeted Gong Honglei. "Young Master Gong, long time no see." "Young lady, long time no see." Gong Honglei smiled and looked at Yijioga with sincere and grateful eyes. Gong Shifan then introduced the man and the woman. "This is Danyang Sek's Qiao Xiaohua and Yu Lingjun. Jioga greets the two of you." Yijioga greeted them indifferently. Yu Lingjun impolitely sized Yijioga up and said arrogantly, "Are you Yi Shanshan's sister? The younger sister is shameless, but the older sister looks more like one." Her words were very impolite, full of contempt and humiliation. "Young lady Yu, what do you mean?" Yijioga's face sank. Yu Lingjuan's slap was about to hit her face. If she didn't react, others would think that she was easy to bully. "Danyang Sek's ancestor Lingyun is my grandfather," Yu Lingjun said proudly. "Danyang Sect ancestor Lingyun?" Yijioga suddenly remembered that wasn't the place where Yi Shanshan was sent to be a concubine. This was a disgusting misunderstanding. Her younger sister was a concubine and her older sister, who had the same surname, was looked down upon. It was all because of Yi Yuxuan. Young Lady Yi has already established her own sect and has nothing to do with the Yi clan. Don't mix them up." Gong Honglei frowned and looked at Yu Lingjun unhappily. Yu Lingjun disdainfully said, "If she has nothing to do with it, then why can't she change her surname? This has nothing to do with young lady Yu." Yijioga was just short of saying that she was a busybody. "Who said it has nothing to do with young lady Yu? Your younger sister is shameless and seduced my grandfather. Your Yi clan's upbringing is truly disgusting." Yu Lingjun wanted to say more but she was stopped by Qiao Xiaohua. "Junior sister, stop talking." Qiao Xiaohua signaled Gong Shifan with his eyes. Yu Lingjun noticed that Gong Shifan's expression was grave and cold. It was clear that he was very dissatisfied with her attitude. Yu Lingjun didn't dare to offend Gong Shifan and could only shut up. Gong Shifan suppressed Yu Lingjun and said, "Young lady, we came here today to ask about Alchemy City and the heretic cultivators. I thought Big Brother Bai and Big Brother 1 already told you." Yijioga heard from Yi Yu that Gong Shifan had already asked Bai Songling and Wan Ziang about the specifics. "They did indeed tell me. They heard that the heretic cultivators are experts in using poison. The only thing that can deal with them is the goo worms that your subordinates nurtured. So I wanted to ask if it's convenient for you to sell some to us? Gong Shifan asked politely. He had been appointed as the leader to deal with bloodthirsty sect and had carefully investigated this matter. Yi Jioga's goo worms were an indispensable item on his list of resources. Yi Jioga's eyes brightened. She suddenly realized that she could use goo worms to exchange for dark soul grass with the Gong clan. The Gong clan had such a large family business, it would definitely be faster than her looking for it herself. Chapter 229. Yi Jioga was thinking about how to bring this up when Yu Lingjun suddenly said, "Fighting against heretic cultivators is everyone's responsibility. Do you want to take money?" Yi Jioga raised his head in surprise. Who gave this person so much face to ask for something for free? That's right. Aren't you known as the hero fighting against heretic cultivators? Are you not even willing to give me something like this? Yu Lingjun said matter-of-factly. She just didn't like Yi Jioga. He was just the elder sister of a lowly concubine, yet he was in the limelight in Alchemy City. This time, the Spiritualist Alliance was going to eradicate bloodthirsty sect. The competition in the alliance was so fierce that even her position was squeezed in with great difficulty. However, Yi Jioga easily occupied a spot and even made the leader Master Gong look at him in a different light. Those goo worms were just some unorthodox methods, yet he still dared to use them as a condition. He was simply shameless. Qiao Xiaohua didn't try to dissuade his junior sister this time. Although their Danyang sect was famous for alchemy, master establishment pills were also very scarce. Yu Lingjun had an elder grandfather, so she had an advantage in this aspect. He didn't have a backer, so he could only rely on himself. Thus, he was determined to get this master establishment pill. In his eyes, Yi Jioga was a competitor. Weakening the competitor's strength was also very good. Gong Honglei was also stunned by Yu Lingjun's shamelessness. After a while, he said angrily, "Who do you think you are to make people selflessly contribute?" "Young Master Gong, I'm talking to Miss Yi. Why are you so agitated?" Yu Lingjun's gaze swept back and forth between Gong Honglei and Yi Jioga. Then she muttered in a voice that everyone could hear, "The younger sister is shameless, but the older sister is no better." You. Gong Honglei's face turned red with anger. If it wasn't for the fact that Yu Lingjun was a woman, he would have struck her. "Miss Yu, please behave yourself. Young Master Gong and I are just friends." After Yi Jioga solemnly clarified his relationship with Gong Honglei, he said to Gong Shifan, "But Miss Yu is right. Dealing with bloodthirsty sect is everyone's matter. Those who have the ability should contribute. I'm willing to give the goo worms for free." "TSK, isn't it just a goo worm? You speak as if it's something amazing." Yu Lingjun sneered. Enough. Qiao Xiaohua also felt that his junior sister's words were a bit too much, and quickly pulled her back. "Miss Yi, you don't have to do this." Gong Shifan frowned. He regretted bringing the two idiots from the Danyang sect with him. "Master Gong, you don't have to be so polite. It's everyone's responsibility to fight against evil cultivators. If it were Miss Yu, she would do the same." Yi Jioga looked at Yu Lingjun with a smile. "Of course," Yu Lingjun replied proudly. "Since that's the case, there's something I need Miss Yu's help with. I have the recipe for a high-grade insect-repellent pill that can resist the bloodthirsty sect's defensive formation. I'm just missing some 3-star serene grass. Miss Yu is in the Danyang sect, so I'm sure you won't be lacking in spirit herbs. You'll definitely be willing to contribute them." Yi Jioga smiled as he dug a hole for Yu Lingjun. Gong Honglei could already tell that Yi Jioga was digging a hole for Yu Lingjun to jump into. He was very willing to help her, so he said loudly, "Miss Yi can actually refine this kind of spirit pill. That's great. This way we have more confidence in dealing with the bloodthirsty sect." With that, Gong Honglei turned to Yu Lingjun and said, "Miss Yu, this 3-star serene grass is all up to you. Don't just say it and not do it." Yu Lingjun's expression changed and she quickly said, 3-star serene grass isn't cheap, Yu. Miss Yu, don't tell me you want me to contribute even the pill recipe." Yi Jioga interrupted Yu Lingjun's words. Yu Lingjun really did have this idea. Gong Honglei rushed to say again, "Miss Yi is worrying too much. The Danyang sect has so many pill recipes, but I haven't seen them contribute any. In other words, if you want someone else to contribute a pill recipe, you should take one out if you have the ability." Yu Lingjun's expression changed again. Pill recipes were a secret. Even if her grandfather was the patriarch of the Danyang sect, he couldn't break this rule. Qiao Xiaohua saw that the situation was bad and quickly said, "Young Master Gong, the 3-star serene grass is expensive. We are just disciples of the Danyang sect, so we can't make the decision." Is that so? When the two of you made the decision to ask Miss Yi to contribute her goo worms, you were quite loud. Gong Honglei didn't give these two any face at all. Although the Danyang sect was also a large sect, the Gong family wasn't to be trifled with. There was no need to give them face. How can those goo worms compare to the 3-star serene grass? Yu Lingjun said angrily. The 3-star serene grass was a rank 3 spirit herb. It wasn't easy to cultivate it, so it was impossible for their sect to give it away casually. Monsieur, you're wrong. Everyone is showing their sincerity for this mission. The price is the sincerity, and my goo worms might not be worse than your 3-star serene grass. The market price of 3-star serene grass is less than 1,000 taels of gold each. My goo worms are priceless, Yi Jioga said coldly. You have the cheek to ask for a few stupid worms? Yu Lingjuan's face was full of anger. She wanted to go forward and give Yi Jioga 2 slaps. Enough. Gong Shifan was really angry this time. The pressure of a spirit master crushed towards Yu Lingjun and Xiao Xiaohua. Either the Danyang sect hand over 2 caddies of 3-star serene grass or you can scram. I don't need people who go back on their words. Master Gong, how can you do this? Yu Lingjun was so angry that her face was distorted. She was the direct disciple of the Danyang sect. Master Gong was actually chasing her away for the sister of a lowly concubine? Master Gong, my junior sister is young and insensible. Please forgive her. Xiao Xiaohua could see that Gong Shifan was really angry. If he persisted, he might really be kicked out. This was an opportunity that he had fought so hard for. He definitely couldn't take it back. Since it was Yu Lingjuan's fault, he could only let her bear it herself. I'll give you 3 days to prepare. Gong Shifan said coldly. Yes. Xiao Xiaohua nodded helplessly and said to Yu Lingjun, Junior sister, let's go back first. Yu Lingjun stomped her feet and glared fiercely at Yi Jioga before turning around and leaving. Gong Honglei looked at the backs of the two of them and said angrily to Gong Shifan, Third uncle, these two people simply don't know what they're talking about. Are you really going to bring them along? If they're really willing to take the 3-star serene grass. Gong Shifan was non-committal. It's best if they're willing. Without the detoxification and insect repellent pill, it will be very difficult for us to deal with the bloodthirsty sect's protective mountain formation. Yi Jioga didn't just dig a hole to deal with Yu Lingjun. Chapter 230. I wonder if young Miss can explain this mountain guarding formation in detail? Gong Shifan's expression became serious. Their spiritualist alliance didn't have any information about this mountain guarding formation. Of course. Yi Jioga didn't hide anything and told him everything that Junie Chen told her. Gong Shifan was shocked when he heard that this formation was filled with obstacles and poisonous gas, and there were many hidden blood-sucking mosquitoes. It's actually so powerful. Yes, so I have to refine this poison-repelling and insect-repelling pill. Others didn't care, but Yi Jioga definitely had to refine it. Danyang sect doesn't have enough 3-star serene grass. I'll give you another batch. Please help me refine a batch of pills for 30 people. As for the goo worms I mentioned earlier, I'll buy them from you under my own name. Just name the price. Gong Shifan requested solemnly. He never thought of taking advantage of Yi Jioga. Master Gong is indeed straightforward. Forget about the payment. If possible, I hope you can help me find a dark soul grass. Yi Jioga was advancing by retreating. Gong clan had their own elixir shop in Baimu City. They definitely had a way to get it for her. No problem. Gong Shifan nodded without hesitation. Dark soul grass was precious, but it was worth it to win over Yi Jioga. Thank you. Yi Jioga nodded. It was easy to do things with straightforward people. Our team has about 15 people and will set off in 10 days. What's young Miss Ye's plan? Do you want to come with us? Gong Shifan asked. No need, we'll set off 5 days in advance. We'll go check the situation there first and meet up then. Yi Jioga originally wanted to move with Gong Shifan, but Yu Lingjuan's attitude made her change her mind. If the righteous sects were all arrogant people like this, she wouldn't go looking for trouble. Alright. Gong Shifan knew that Yu Lingjun and Xiao Xiaohua disgusted Yi Jioga, so he didn't force her and changed the topic. I heard Master Yun sent an expert to protect you, is that true? Yes. Yi Jioga nodded. I wonder if First Miss can introduce me? Gong Shifan said with a smile. Sorry, he's not in the residence. Yi Jioga said apologetically. That's a pity. Gong Shifan smiled regretfully. If there is a chance, I will bring him to visit you. Yi Jioga said politely. She still needed the help of the Gong family for her dark soul grass, so she still had to say some polite words. I will definitely welcome you with open arms. At this point, Gong Shifan's attitude became serious and he said solemnly, Eldest miss, I have something to ask of you. Master Gong, please speak. Yi Jioga had already guessed what he wanted to say. Young miss, you should have heard that my big brother's son, Gong Baiyu, was born with an eye disease. Many spiritual doctors were unable to treat it, so I want to ask Master Yun to take a look. As long as Master Yun can cure Baiyu's disease, our Gong family is willing to pay any price. Gong Shifan's promise was so heavy that even Yi Jioga was moved. Unfortunately, she didn't know where her grandfather was. She could only rely on herself to fight for this promise. Hence, Yi Jioga said apologetically, my grandfather's whereabouts are uncertain. Even if I have a way to send a message, I don't know when he will receive it. If Master Gong doesn't mind, can I first diagnose young Master Baiyu's illness? Of course, but Baiyu isn't in 100 Eye City now. He is in the Boundless Sect, Gong Shifan said. Isn't the Boundless Sect a place for Buddhist cultivators? Why did young Master Baiyu go there? Yi Jioga asked curiously. With the importance the Gong family placed on Gong Baiyu, it was impossible for them to let him become a monk. Gong Shifan hesitated for a moment before saying, Baiyu's eye disease is getting worse. He can't sleep at night. He can only rest for a while at the Boundless Sect. Is that serious? Yi Jioga suddenly felt that something was wrong. The eye disease affected the brain and it was spreading too quickly. Even she wasn't confident that she could cure it. Yes, I heard that the blood lotus can calm the mind. I wanted to find one for him to try. The reason why Gong Shifan was willing to be the team leader was not only to take revenge for Gong Hongyu, but also to obtain the blood lotus to alleviate Gong Baiyu's illness. I see. Yi Jioga sighed. Master Dongfang was also determined to obtain the blood lotus. He was even willing to use master establishment pills to exchange for it. He hoped that the blood lotus and the bloodthirsty sect would be enough for the two of them to fight for it. Gong Shifan chatted with brother Yi Jio for a while longer. Just as he was about to leave, Gong Honglei, who had been silent all this time, suddenly said, Eldest miss, I have a question but I don't know if I should ask it. Young Master Gong, please speak, Yi Jioga said politely. You are the only descendant of the Yun family. Why don't you change your surname back to Yun? Gong Honglei really wanted to ask this when Yu Lingjun humiliated Yi Jioga. This. What was she supposed to say? When she broke off with her scumbag father and came out to establish her own family, she still wanted to change her surname. However, Emperor Xianwu suddenly gave her a Yi residence plaque. It was obvious that he wanted her to continue fighting with her scumbag father. She had just established her own family, so it wasn't good for her to embarrass Emperor Xianwu. However, Yu Lingjun used the fact that Yi Shanshan was a concubine to attack her. This made her realize that as long as she continued to use her surname, Yi Yuxuan's tricks would affect her reputation. Now, it seemed that it was necessary to change her surname, but she still had to find the right time. I still have some face in front of Emperor Xianwu. If eldest Miss Yi wants to change, I can help. Gong Shifan could see Yi Jioga's fear. This simple sentence showed the demeanor of an expert. Although Emperor Xianwu was the Emperor of Thunder Country, he was still far inferior to the Gong family. It was a piece of cake for the Gong family to ask him to change his edict. If that's the case, thank you. Yi Jioga nodded. Since the Gong family was willing to help, she didn't refuse. I'll get someone to send the 3-star nether grass and the dark soul flower over later. I wonder if eldest miss is free in the afternoon? Gong Shifan asked. I'll be at home for the next few days. Yi Jioga nodded. It's getting late. We'll leave first. Gong Shifan said goodbye and left. In the afternoon, the Gong family sent the 3-star nether grass and the dark soul flower over. There were only 3 to 4 portions of the 3-star nether grass. This was the Gong family's reserve in Thunder Country. The rest was being urgently deployed. It would take about 2 more days. There was enough dark soul grass. It was a box full of black spiritual herbs. The dense spiritual energy it emitted was like a black fog. The quality was very high. Gong Shifan was indeed a straightforward person. After Yi Jioga got the 3-star nether grass, she prepared to make a cauldron of poison and insect repellent pills. As for using the dark soul grass to forge the thunder snake illusionary whip, Zishang took over. Chapter 231. In the alchemy room, Yi Jioga stood in front of the small bronze cauldron and focused on controlling the white bone fire for the final stage of core formation. The cauldron emitted a white glow as the medicinal liquid quickly condensed into dozens of white pills. When the cauldron was opened, An extremely cold aura rushed out and the temperature in the room immediately plummeted. This Yin pill is not bad. Zishang raised his eyebrows. It was his first time refining such a difficult Yin pill, yet it was so perfect. Xiaojioge was indeed amazing. Do you think Gong Shifan will dare to eat it if he knows it's a Yin pill? Yijioge asked Zishang worriedly. She did not tell Gong Shifan that the poison and insect repellent pill she refined was a Yin pill. This was because the Yin pill was not suitable for spiritualists and would feel uncomfortable eating it. However, the bloodthirsty sex protective formation was too powerful and spirit pills could not resist it. Only the Yin pill could fight poison with poison. He would be stupid if he doesn't eat it. Zishang did not think Gong Shifan was a fool. The greatest effect of the Yin pill Xiaojioge refined was not to expel poison and insects but to kill them. After consuming this Yin pill, no matter what poison entered the body, it would immediately be metabolized and form poisonous sweat on the surface of the body. Mosquitoes would die if they touched it. This was the pill she specially researched based on the bloodthirsty sex protective formation. You're right. Since I've already refined the pill, it's up to them whether they eat it or not. As Yijioge spoke, she put away the Yin pill in the cauldron. 2 more cauldrons and then help me deal with the dark soul grass. Zishang glanced at the remaining 3-star nether grass. The Gong family and Danyang sect had sent another batch so they could refine a total of 300 Yin pills, which greatly exceeded their budget. Okay. Yijioge quickly refined the remaining 3-star nether grass and went to help Zishang sort out the dark soul grass. Each dark soul grass was only the length of a pinky and was completely black. The thicker the mist emitted, the more poisonous it was. What Yijioge needed to do was to use the white bone fire to extract the poison from the dark soul grass. Zishang stood in the corner and injected demonic power into the Thunder Snake illusionary whip. As the black and purple light poured into it, the Thunder Snake illusionary whip seemed to have awakened. Its snake eyes flickered with a cruel light. It nimbly flew out of Zishang's hand and circled around Yijioge. Yijioge set up a 3-finger-wide, 1-foot-long iron plate in the middle of the pill refining room. He then placed all the dark soul grass on it and summoned the white bone fire to roast the grass. Every time a dark soul grass burned out, it would turn into a cloud of black mist and try to escape. But before they could drift far away, they would be swallowed by the lightning snake illusory whip. More and more black fog appeared and fled in all directions. The thunder snake illusionary whip's movements also abruptly sped up. It moved around the house like a black lightning bolt, swallowing all the black mist into its mouth. Its originally silver-white body was gradually dyed with black mist, making it look even more ferocious. Zishang had been paying close attention to the lightning snake illusionary whip's movements. When the lightning snake illusionary whip swallowed the last of the black mist, he flicked his finger, and a drop of blood flew into the lightning snake illusionary whip's mouth. "What are you doing?" Yijioge was shocked. Wasn't dripping blood to recognize the owner something she should do? Could it be that this guy wanted to steal her weapon? You're thinking too much. How could Zishang be interested in this small demon equipment? His low HP was just to add another layer of protection to the demonic artifact. After absorbing Zishang's blood, the lightning snake illusionary whip immediately changed. On top of the silver snake, there was an additional black snake. The snake's head intertwined with the neck, and the snake's body intertwined, extending downwards. Try it. Zishang threw the lightning snake illusionary whip to Yijioge. After Yijioge received it, she inserted her spiritual energy into it. The lightning snake illusionary whip immediately expanded, and a silver-white light shone, completely enveloping the black snake. After the upgrade, the lightning snake illusionary whip had even more attack power than before. But Yijioge felt that it shouldn't be just that. She put her index finger into the snake's fang on the handle. After absorbing blood, the lightning snake illusionary whip changed into a demon equipment. In an instant, it became completely black, and its attack was incomparably strange. As long as one was hit, they would immediately die from poison. If it was at night, it would definitely be impossible to defend against. Yijioge was very satisfied with this. I placed a seal inside. If you encounter a situation where you have to risk your life, you can open this seal. Zishang told Yijioge the method to remove the seal. Yijioge carefully memorized it. This seal was made by Zishang using her own blood essence. It was definitely her life-saving weapon. Yijioge adapted to the new function of the lightning snake illusionary whip, then wrapped it around his waist and left the alchemy room. Then he called Mother Qing over. Has there been any movement in the palace in the past few days? Did His Majesty give us any decree? Yijioge asked. I haven't heard of any movement in the palace. Mother Qing shook her head and cautiously asked Yi Jioge, Eldest Miss, what decree do you think His Majesty will give us? Nothing much. Yi Jioge didn't tell Mother Qing about changing back to her surname Yun. If the Gong family didn't handle this matter well, Mother Qing would definitely be very disappointed. Won't you know after asking Gong Shifan? At the same time, take a look at who the Spiritualist Alliance sent over. Zishang said beside Yi Jioge's ear. All right. Yi Jioge nodded. The Spiritualist Alliance was the main force to deal with the bloodthirsty ancestor. She had to carefully understand their strength. If they were all swindlers like Danyang sect, then she would have to consider whether or not to cooperate with them. The Spiritualist Alliance's special encampment in Shangjing was at 17 West Main Street. It wasn't very far. Yi Jioge stored the 3 goo worms and 200 yin pills that Junichen sent over. Then he sat in the carriage with Zishang and headed towards the Spiritualist Alliance's encampment. When they were about to get off the carriage, Yi Jioge said to Zishang, Same old method. Hide in the dark and act according to the situation. No. Zishang refused. What? Yi Jioge frowned. This guy was usually quite obedient. Why was he acting out today? No reason. Zishang directly got off the carriage and walked towards the gate. Wait for me. Yi Jioge quickly followed. Did this guy still remember his identity as a guard? Sorry, I forgot. Zishang quickly turned back into an obedient guard. He stood behind Yi Jioge without a sense of presence. Yi Jioge knocked on the door. The person who opened the door was a clever young man. When he heard that Yi Jioge was here to deliver pills to Master Gong, he said politely, Master Gong is at the martial arts field. This way, please. After saying that, he led the way. Yi Jioge followed the young man through the long corridor. After turning a corner, they arrived at the incomparably spacious martial arts field. At this moment, the martial arts field was filled with spiritualists. It should be the team that Gong Shifan was leading this time. These spiritualists were all advanced spiritualists. Among them, Yu Lingjun and Xiao Xiaohua stood in front of Yi Jioge. Seeing Yi Jioge walking over, Yu Lingjun's eyes immediately revealed a resentful light. She lowered her head and said a few words to a young girl beside her. The young girl looked up at Yi Jioge in surprise. She immediately revealed a mocking expression and touched her companion beside her. Just like that, the spiritualists at the scene quickly noticed Yi Jioge's appearance. Chapter 232. The spiritualists all revealed expressions of disgust, disdain, contempt, and wretchedness. It was easy to imagine that Yu Lingjun would definitely promote her sister's reputation among them. To these proud sons of heaven, a woman who became an old man's concubine was a lowly good, even her sisters were lowly. Yi Jioge acted as if he did not see these malicious gazes, and only asked the young guard softly, Where is Master Gong? Please wait for a moment, I will go and call Master Gong. The young guard turned around and entered the house, leaving Yi Jioge standing there. I was wondering who it was, isn't this Miss Yi? What do you want today? Yu Lingjun crossed her arms in front of her chest, and her attitude was sarcastic. I am here to give Master Gong goo worms and pills. Yi Jioge smiled and said sincerely to Yu Lingjun, I have to thank Miss Yu for the 3-star serene grass, or else I would not be able to successfully refine this poison-repellent pill. When Yu Lingjun heard this, her face immediately turned red. Because of the 3-star serene grass, she was severely reprimanded by her grandfather, saying that she was too willful and immature. The most despicable person was that Yi Shanshan, who pretended to blame her for everything and wanted to apologize to her. Although she did not want this bitch to apologize, she did not mind humiliating her. She did not expect her grandfather to protect this little bitch, and instead blame her for not knowing the rules and bullying her elders. When Yu Lingjun thought of this, she glared at Yi Jioge with even more hatred and shouted angrily, Since that is the case, then quickly hand over the goo worms and pills. Hand them to you? Yi Jioge asked in surprise, could it be that Miss Yu is in charge of managing the supplies? Of course not. Before Yu Lingjun could speak, a young man with a long sword on his back said, Managing supplies is such an important matter, how can it be her turn? Bailey Moyen, what do you mean? Yu Lingjun looked fiercely at the young man. I mean it literally. Bailey Moyen looked at her as if she was not stupid enough to not understand human language, instantly angering Yu Lingjun half to death. Yi Jioge secretly sized up Bailey Moyun. He saw that Bailey Moyun had red lips, white teeth, and a handsome appearance. His pair of peach blossom eyes made him look rather distinguished, and the way he spoke also seemed to infuriate people to death. The man standing next to him was dressed in black. He was tall and had long black eyebrows. He looked cold and arrogant. Sensing Yi Jioga's gaze, he glanced at her expressionlessly. These two were the only ones present who did not show any malice towards Yi Jioga. Looking at the long sword on Bailey Moyun's back, it was very likely that he was from the same sect as Gong Honglei. It seemed that Gong Honglei had spoken good words about him to them. Other than the two men, the other spiritualists were like Yu Lingjun. They were very disdainful of her. Yi Jioga lowered his eyelids. He already had a plan in mind. If you look down on me, you'll have a chance to cry. At this moment, Gong Shifan, who had received the news, walked out with Gong Honglei. He greeted Yi Jioga warmly. "Eldest miss, why are you free to come over? I'm here to give you pills and goo worms." Yi Jioga took out a wrapped box from his Chengkuan bag. "May I know how many goo worms there are in total?" Gong Shifan asked casually. Time was too tight. "I only managed to cultivate 3. Yi Jioga looked apologetic. In reality, Juni-chan had cultivated 13 of them, but she was not stupid enough to give them all to Gong Shifan. "There are only 3. How are we going to divide them? Aren't you making things difficult for Master Gong?" Yu Lingjun immediately questioned Yi Jioga loudly. "There's no need to divide them. These goo worms will automatically recognize me as their master." Yi Jioga spoke softly. He did not change because of Yu Lingjun's bad attitude. "These goo worms can actually recognize me as their master. They are indeed intelligent." Gong Shifan nodded in satisfaction. It was common knowledge that whether it was a weapon or a spirit beast, those that would automatically recognize their master were all of high quality. "How do these goo worms recognize me as their master?" Bailey Moyun looked at Yi Jioga with his peach blossom eyes. He did not seem to be interested in the goo worms. Instead, he seemed to be more interested in the beauty Yi Jioga. "Everyone take turns to put your finger into the box. Once the goo worm recognizes you as its master, it will automatically bite your index finger and sign a contract with you." Yi Jioga ignored Bailey Moyun's flirtatious look. She solemnly took out the wooden box containing the goo worm. There was a small hole at the top that could fit an index finger. TSK deliberately mystifying things. Yu Lingjun had a look of disdain. The other female spirit practitioners also looked like they were going to politely decline. They hated the worms to begin with. Now that they saw that they had to put their fingers into the box to let the worms suck their blood, they distanced themselves even further. As for Yi Jioga, who dared to play with worms, they despised her to the extreme. "I'll go first. How do we do it?" Bailey Moyun immediately responded. "Just put your finger in." Yi Jioga handed the box over. Bailey Moyun raised his slender and fair index finger. Under everyone's gaze, he slowly inserted it into the box. Bailey Moyun's handsome face immediately revealed an expression of surprise. "What's wrong?" Gong Honglei quickly asked. "It hit." Bailey Moyun withdrew his finger. There was a small wound on it. Then a black shadow flew out of the box like lightning. It landed on Bailey Moyun's arm and quickly turned into a cocoon. Then it quickly broke out of the cocoon. It was a goo worm that looked like a peach-red bird. It had a pointed small beak, intelligent black eyes, peach-red feathers, and was only the size of a thumb. It was extremely cute. "Oh my god, it's so cute." Those female spirit practitioners originally thought that goo worms were disgusting. They never expected it to be so cute. This was also the area that Yi Jioga requested Juni-chan to improve. The blood cloak Miao people only focused on power. Those goo worms were all ferocious. However, the team led by Gong Shifan was from a famous sect. Raising goo worms was a crooked way to them. If they had the appearance of Lil Red, Big Mouth, and the rest, they would probably be abandoned after defeating bloodthirsty sect. Thus, Yi Jioga requested Juni-chan to change the appearance of these 3 goo worms. It was fine if their power was low, but their appearance had to be acceptable. Now it seemed that the effect was very good. Immediately, there were 2 pretty and lively girls who could not help but tease the cute peach-red goo bird on Bailey Moyun's arm. The little goo bird also cooperated and chirped softly, looking even more adorable. "Young Master Bailey, give it a name." The female spirit practitioner called Lin Yanshi giggled. Bailey Moyun thought about it and quickly decided, "Let's call it Little Peach." He was also very satisfied with this pink little bird goo. He did not know if it could detoxify the poison, but it was enough to pick up girls. Next, Yi Jioga saw the lively atmosphere and did not lose the opportunity to shout. "Senior brother, go quickly." Yu Lingjun quickly pushed Zhao Xiaohua. If goo worms were all so cute, she wouldn't mind taking one as well. Chapter 233. Junior sister, watch me. Qiao Xiaohua said confidently. Although Yu Lingjun was a bit arrogant and not good-looking, he had to serve her well for the sake of the Lingyun ancestor. Go go. Yu Lingjun saw that Lin Yanxi, who was standing not far away, was also tempted and immediately became anxious. Lin Yanxi was a disciple of the Tianxiang sect. Those stinky men would definitely fight over the remaining 2 gu in order to please her. I'll do it. Qiao Xiaohua immediately squeezed in front of Yi Jiuge. Yi Jiuge handed over the box indifferently. Qiao Xiaohua also put his finger into the box, but was immediately bounced out. Sorry, you don't meet the requirements for the gu to recognize you as its owner. Next. Yi Jiuge ignored Qiao Xiaohua's disappointed expression and immediately moved the box away. Wait. Qiao Xiaohua couldn't accept that he couldn't even subdue a gu. Just as he was about to argue with Yi Jiuge, he was pushed away by a tall and thin young man. Before Qiao Xiaohua could speak, Yu Lingjun already shouted angrily, Wang Haoqiang, what are you trying to do? There are so many people behind and each one of them is as long-winded as you. When will the queue end? Wang Haoqiang glanced at Yu Lingjun with disdain. He looked so shabby and still had the face to make a fuss. Did he really think he was invincible because of the Lingyun ancestor's name? Their Qiqiao pavilion wasn't afraid of her spirit medicine sect. You don't even want this gu, you just want to use it to please someone. Yu Lingjun said hatefully. Tisk, it's none of your business who I want to please. Wang Haoqiang didn't hide his thoughts at all. He saw Bailey Moyun using a little gu bird to please the female spirit practitioner, and he was already jealous. Especially Lin Yanxi, who he admired, also loved the little gu bird, so he decided that he had to get one for himself. Please put your finger in. Yi Jiuge acted as if he didn't hear their quarrel and said indifferently. Wang Haoqiang raised his index finger and stuck it in fiercely, constantly chanting in his heart, bite, bite. In the end he flicked it even faster than Qiao Xiaohua. Sorry, you don't meet the rules for gu worms. Next, Yi Jiuge said according to the book. Impossible. Is this bug stupid? It doesn't recognize me. Wang Haoqiang said in disbelief. Strength, this is strength. Bailey Moyun said with a grin, then used his elbow to poke the stern man's waist and said with a grin, Ali, you should also try. Ali Nangong Li, a core disciple of the Purple Cloud sect, was also Bailey Moyun's best friend. Next. This time Yi Jiuge directly walked in front of Nangong Li. Nangong Li frowned slightly. It was obvious that he did not want to participate. Just give it a try. Bailey Moyun incited from the side. Nangong Li was so annoyed by Bailey Moyun that he casually put his finger into the box. Did we hit the jackpot? Bailey Moyun was even more nervous than Nangong Li. Nangong Li nodded his head. He looked at Yi Jiuge meaningfully but didn't say anything else. Quick, let's see what kind of gu worm you have. Bailey Moyun pulled Nangong Li's finger out. Another black shadow came out of the box and stood on Nangong Li's arm. It was a black eagle with blood-red eyes. The eagle, which was the size of a thumb, was both mighty and adorable, causing the female spiritualist to shriek. Yours is not bad too, Bailey Moyun exclaimed. However, he still liked his Xiaotao more. Nangong Li was originally worried that this gu worm would be very feminine, but he was relieved when he saw that it was an eagle. There's only one left. Yi Jiuge raised the box high and asked, who else wants to try? Honglei, give it a try. Bailey Moyun pulled Gong Honglei over and forcefully pressed his finger into the box. Gong Honglei looked at Bailey Moyun helplessly. With so few gu worms, he didn't even want to participate in this matter. It hit the jackpot. Bailey Moyun shouted with great experience. The last gu worm transformed into a cocoon. It was a majestic green praying mantis. Aha, it suits you. Bailey Moyun couldn't help but laugh. Gong Honglei's character was reckless and unyielding, and he often acted like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. This gu worm was very suitable for him. It seems that when these gu worms form a contract, they also follow their master's will. Gong Shifan laughed. That's right. Pleasing the master is also a sign of submission. Yi Jiuge took the opportunity to boast about how intelligent his gu worms were, so that Gong Shifan wouldn't think that he suffered a loss. 3 lousy worms, why would they recognize their master? It's obvious that you're secretly manipulating them. Wang Haoqiang ordered. The other failed candidates also responded. I was wondering why Master Gong was so protective of her. It turns out that he's so good at pleasing people. We're really inferior to him. Yu Lingjun said sarcastically. Many people agreed with her. These spiritualists came from various large sects, and they were dissatisfied with Gong Shifan, the leader who suppressed their own seniors. They didn't dare to say anything in the open, but they dared to agree in secret. Yi Jioga treated Yu Lingjuan's sarcasm as a dog's bark. This was Gong Shifan's territory, so it was not her turn to be in the limelight. In the end, before Gong Shifan could speak, a pleasant and clear voice sounded behind her. Spiritual objects belong to the capable. What right does a useless person have to question it? Who's there? Yu Lingjun widened her eyes and looked at Yi Jioga, but the figure of a beautiful man appeared in her eyes. His black eyebrows reached his temples, his black eyes were as bright as stars, his nose was high, and he had a rosy and charming appearance. Just by standing there, he gave off a domineering aura as if he was looking down on the world, as if the universe was in his hands. Yu Lingjuan's heart was beating faster. She had seen many handsome men in the Danyang sect, but compared to the person in front of her, they all paled in comparison. The world was dark and gloomy. It was as if he was the only bright light. When did such a devilishly handsome man appear? It was unbelievable that she didn't even notice it. There were many people who felt the same way as Yu Lingjun, and most of the female spiritualists stared at him. The male spiritualist was filled with hostility. They didn't even notice when this devilishly handsome man appeared. It was as if he suddenly appeared as soon as he spoke. What are you doing? Yi Jioga was most annoyed by Zishang's behavior, attracting bees and butterflies. Was he afraid that people didn't know he was handsome? Of course, I'm teaching these useless people how to be human. Zishang replied seriously. You're a demon teaching others how to be human. Don't you have any shame? Yi Jioga glared at Zishang fiercely and said in a low voice, Go down, don't cause trouble for me. Unfortunately, given the current situation, it was too late for Zishang to go down even if he wanted to because Gong Shifan was already looking over. Chapter 234. The moment Zishang appeared, Gong Shifan already guessed that he was the famous expert in Alchemy City. He took a step forward and smiled at Yi Jioga. You must be Master Yun's guard Yi Zi. Yes. Yi Jioga nodded helplessly. I heard that Brother Yi Zi defeated a demonic cultivator by yourself in Alchemy City. You do live up to your reputation. Gong Shifan praised. I heard that Master Gong's team is made up of elites from various sects, but they don't live up to their reputation. Zishang's tone was full of disdain. Gong Shifan frowned and looked at Yi Jioga. Aren't you going to control your guard? Yi Zi, stop it. Yi Jioga's scolding was not threatening at all. She could tell that Zishang was here to cause trouble. How could she, the fake master, control him? Miss, these people are too useless. Let's not waste time here. Zishang added fuel to the fire. Brother Yi Zi, be careful with your words. Gong Shifan's voice turned cold. Though he really wanted to rope this expert in, he couldn't pretend that he didn't hear such a merciless slap in the face. Brat, don't be too arrogant. If you're so good, let's fight. Wang Haoqiang shouted. Beat him to death. The others also shouted. With just you guys? Zishang smirked and said in disdain, Since you're looking for a fight, there's no need to take turns. Come at me together. Brat, how arrogant. Do you really think we can't do anything to you? Wang Haoqiang didn't have a bottom line either. He immediately called out, Everyone, let's go together and show him how powerful we are. Kill him. Xiao Xiaohua was the first to respond to Wang Haoqiang's call. The others also took the opportunity to surround him. None of the spiritualists in this team were idiots. Even when they were arrogant and prideful, they knew how to judge the situation. Everyone had heard about the battle in Alchemy City. This man who killed a demonic cultivator was definitely not simple. They didn't have much confidence in a one-on-one fight, but if they surrounded him, they would definitely win. The only ones who did not gather were Nangong Li, Bailey Moyun, Yu Lingjun and the other female spiritualists. Third uncle. Gong Honglei looked worriedly at Yi Jioga and Zishang, who were surrounded in the middle. Since Brother Yi Zi is so interested, let's play with him. Gong Shifan said calmly as if the scene in front of him was just a game. Yi Zi had humiliated him so much just now so he could use Wang Haoqiang and the others to test Yi Zi's strength. Young miss, may I borrow your spirit weapon? Zishang pretended to be respectful as he spoke to Yi Jioga. Keep pretending, keep pretending. Yi Jioga unsheathed the lightning snake illusionary whip with a dark expression and heavily handed it over to Zishang. Then he walked to the side. Zishang shook the whip and said to Wang Haoqiang and the others, Come. Go. Wang Haoqiang immediately rushed forward. In his hand was a scythe-shaped spirit weapon. With a light wave, countless flat green wind blades shot out. Qiao Shaohua's spirit weapon was a medicine pestle. It emitted a green light and instantly turned into countless vines that fixed Zishang in place. The other spiritualists were overjoyed and did not have any intention of cooperating. They ordered their spirit weapons to attack Zishang. In the blink of an eye, the colorful spiritual light surged toward Zishang. Yu Lingjun stood at the side and watched nervously. Although Zishang's words were very infuriating, she could not bear to see such a handsome man being defeated. The spiritual lights exploded and the light dissipated. Zishang, who was supposed to be battered and exhausted, was nowhere to be seen. Where did he go? Wang Haoqiang quickly looked around. There. Qiao Shaohua's eyes were sharp. He had already seen Zishang appear beside Yi Jiuge. Why did you come back? Yi Jiuge looked at Zishang cautiously. Could it be that he did not have enough demonic power and wanted to drag her down to fight with him? I came to invite you to watch the show. Zishang's smile was casual and lazy, but the faint domineering aura was not to be ignored. He did not move at all, but the Thunder Snake illusion whip in his hand suddenly burst into a dazzling light, then it turned into a giant python and rushed out. Smash it! Wang Haoqiang roared and took the lead to attack the Thunder Snake illusion whip. Qiao Shaohua and the other spiritualists also followed behind him and attacked at the same time. The bright Thunder Snake illusion whip hung high in the air and could not be avoided at all. After being hit by countless spiritual lights, the light immediately dissipated. Tieske, I thought he had some ability, but he is only SOSO. Wang Haoqiang was proud. This spirit weapon was the lifeblood of a spiritualist. Smashing his weapon was no different from smashing him. Qiao Shaohua did not relax his vigilance and kept staring at Zishang's movements. Seeing him raise his hand to make a strange sign, he immediately shouted, "Be careful." The Thunder Snake illusion whip exploded again and shot countless silver lights towards the spiritualists present. This explosion was too fast. Many spiritualists did not even have time to react and were pierced by these lights, making bursts of screams. You're crazy. Wang Haoqiang's reaction was the fastest. He instantly dissipated two lights but was still injured by the light. His face and body were instantly left with countless wounds. Qiao Shaohua was the most miserable. His face was swept by several lights and was covered in blood. It looked very terrifying. Stop! Yu Lingjun immediately screamed. Gong Shifan also could not bear it anymore. He activated his spiritual power and shot a thumb-thick spiritual light towards the Thunder Snake illusion whip. At this time, Zishang waved his hand. The Thunder Snake illusion whip flew back to his hand like lightning and returned to its whip form. Brother Yizi, it is only a spar. Why do you have to hurt people like this? Gong Shifan looked at Zishang with a sullen face. Although he did not like Wang Haoqiang and the others, he was the one who was embarrassed when they were beaten so badly. It is only a flesh wound. If you can't even endure such a small injury, then don't go to the Blood Cloud Peak to die. Zishang provoked. Gong Shifan was immediately speechless. Zishang returned the Thunder Snake illusion whip to Yi Jiuge and shook his head. Just a bunch of trash. How dare you look down on others? You really don't know what you're talking about. Yi Jiuge was startled. Could it be that this guy specially stood up for her? Senior Yizi, although our cultivation is not as good as yours, you don't have to keep saying that we are trash. Gong Honglei said with dissatisfaction. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about them. Zishang pointed with his finger and accurately landed on Wang Haoqiang, Qiao Shaohua and the others. Wang Haoqiang, Qiao Shaohua and the others were angry but did not dare to say anything. If they could not see the difference between them and Zishang, then there was no need for them to continue living. Master Gong, I still have something to do. Goodbye. Yi Jiuge saw that the situation was extremely awkward and did not dare to stay any longer. Gong Shifan did not urge them to stay and directly sent them off. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.